Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Council of Future Conflicts. My name is Scott. I am the host of the show. This is episode 628. China is asshole and I run so far. I was so inspired by the Trump version of the Flock of Seagulls classic. Joe, it's not a hit; it's a classic.
It is a classic because it wasn't a hit when it came out. It's only a
Okay,
hit now because it's a
it's
classic.
because we appreciate it. Hey, Watcher, I don't know if you could see anything, but apparently we are not live on X.
Let
I'm
me see
getting
what I can
I'm
fix.
I'm getting an error on that one. So see what you can do. Yeah. All right. Man pads in El Paso. So that was one of the things that actually popped up in my mind. We've got. So this show is. I won't say this is a different show. I mean, because we have Iran, we have China, but the China stuff started out being stronger, but now that we went from one to two to three, which is our normal odds and ends, to now we have 8 odds and ends with one of them having 3 different links in it. And another has 2 links. So we've got a lot of odds and ends for you today. And we may end up punting the China topic just because, let's be honest, we need to spend time where the action is, right? And if there's things we need to talk about from the odds and ends that make it longer, then we'll do that. So we will just kind of take the show as it comes. Joe, something we never do. We never take the show as it comes. How are you, brother?
You know what? I'm good because I got some cool artwork in the mail
Look at
yesterday.
that. Look at that.
That's pretty legit right there. This is Xevious, right?
No. This is a female artist that I met on X, and I basically DM'd her one day and said, "Your art's amazing. I'd love to, And then I was in touch with her for several years, and I finally had a need for like a poster from this, and she had posted a different piece of art that was basically this guy in a group, and I was like, I love that art. Can you do a revision of that with? And I basically specced it out because this story they're basically COT, which is I can't remember what the Portuguese stands for, but that's a federal police special operations team in Brazil. And as you know, Joe, Brazil, they've got those drug favela gangs, and so uh, anyway,
Hate
so
to
I
interrupt you,
spec
Scott.
out what
X is up and Jim is here.
I know. I saw Jim. I was gonna say something to him as soon as I finished my thing. Anyway, so that's where that if you know this, if you have the book, you read it, you'll understand why we put a Brazilian guy on there because that's the team leader Bill from Doorkickers. So yes, Doorkicker is shipping, and people should be getting those packages. And Land and Sea is shipping, and people will start receiving those packages as
Yeah,
well.
Washer. I'm glad you changed the address on mine because my old address was on there. So I'd have been mad if I didn't get that. But I also want to
But
remind everyone today to remember Moria. So
oh,
it's my Remember Moria patch about the tragedy that happened to our dwarvish brothers in Moria. I'll be
were
spoiling that.
genocided. They were genocided by
They were
the
genocided by
evil
the orcs. So
Muslim Urukai.
yeah, the Muslim Huracan. That's funny.
Uh,
But anyway, it's a good week. We got things going on. I heard a rumor that I might be having lunch with somebody else on the panel today, so that's always cool.
speaking of old Hong Kong, how are you doing there, brother? Are we not getting his audio?
We were
Jim.
just a moment ago.
All right. Well, while we wait for that, Yardy
All
Boy
right.
says, Scott, we
I
need to do
mentioned
a
I might have
watch.
lunch with Jim, and he hangs up on us.
I know, right? We need to do a watch of Elite Squad. I think the second movie is I've never heard of that. I've never heard of Elite Squad. Is that like an anime or something?
If it's Chris pointing it out, then yes, it's probably anime.
Jim, can you hear us? Jim, if you could hear us, but we can't hear you, just keep
Blink
speaking
twice.
My daughter was very excited today. I want to let you guys know because like we'll sit down and we'll have dinner and we'll watch a YouTube video, and a lot of times it's Asmongold, and so this is how I educate her about things that are going on because Asmongold's covering it, and so we'll talk, and then we'll talk about it. And my wife, a lot of times, she'll like those videos but today it was testing day one of Bahrain Formula One 2026. So she's very excited. 19 days to the beginning of the Formula One season. The fact that my daughter is excited about a race car season starting makes me feel like I succeeded as a father.
Well, gents, you're properly chastised. Apparently, it's a live action about the Brazilian BOPE that you were just talking about.
Yeah. That is a different police. Jim, can you hear us?
Yes, now I can.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry, different device.
I kind of figured when I saw you without the image, so I was like, oh, he had to like.
There is a comment directed at Old Hong Kong in the chat. It says Old Hong Kong insinuates that there is a young Hong Kong. I've actually met young Hong Kong.
Well, hold on. In the naming tradition, would it not be Hong Kong the Younger?
Right.
Actually, she doesn't go by Hong Kong. She goes by Gomer.
The sad thing is that New Hong Kong is called the CCP, which is
which is very true.
So man, Jim, I don't know if you've kept up with what's going on in Hong Kong, but man, I am just really surprised. They have literally killed the goose that laid the golden eggs.
Yeah, which is really tragic to me. I mean, but a guy like Lai, putting him away for 20 years. I mean, you'd think people would be losing their brains. I mean, he's a journalist, right? Oh my God, they're locking up a journalist, and it's like, well, in this case, they choose to ignore it. It's inconvenient.
That's exactly. It's the inconvenient truth that,
It lets them know where their money comes
since we
from.
brought it up, I will point out for the entire world that Gomer, or Old Hong Kong the Younger, is one of Thor's absolute favorite people in the world because she let him chase her. So,
yeah, she went and played cheap for the dog. Yeah, it was a fun time too. And I've got some pretty photos of said dog, which for some reason are highly prioritized in my digital screen. So I see them often.
I know. I'm sitting at Jim's house. I see a picture of my dog on the thing. I'm like, is that a picture of my dog?
Jim needs help. Jim needs help. He's got my dog in his house.
All right. Jim, how you doing? How's life treating you good?
Yeah, it's pretty out here, so all good.
When was the last time you were on? Has it been about 3 weeks now?
Say again?
I think that's about right. We've had you on since the Minneapolis stuff was going nuts.
Yeah, the thing that got the bug in my ass today is just the fact that the cities are all recognizing they're going to go bankrupt if they don't if they comply with federal immigration law. I mean, the only growth industry in these major cities has been servicing the illegal immigrant labor empires, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the VIG in Minneapolis, it's the growth industry for Minneapolis, St. Paul. And they'll point out a project here or a project there, but it's about housing and harvesting federal dollars for all of these people who are here illegally. And then you turn them around, turn them into your vote machine, and you scrape 10, 20% off every federal dollar in some bureaucratic structure or in direct grants and loans to various organizations. And by God, you've got an industry. It just happens to be illegal and it happens to be based on federal money.
Well, the crazy thing is here, Jim, is that if they're kind of starting to do the math on all this, on the scale of this fraud that's going on, and then it's like you just said, right? It's not all fraud. Some of it is out in the open. But it's basically gaming the systems by the cities and states and all this kind of stuff to the point where, if everything worked the way it was supposed to work, we would probably be saving $200 billion a year at the federal level.
Oh, easy. I think it's easily 200 billion.
Well, I was going to say minimum is what. Is what I'm saying.
Just look at the economic. So look at what's going on in Minneapolis, and everybody says, "Oh, it's unique to the Somalis." It isn't. They're going to find it. They're going to find it in California.
They're pikers, right? Compared to the fraud that's going on, and ain't no. Well, I won't say there's no Somalis in California, but there's a lot of other people.
Well, it's going to be the other communities. They've already gone in, and HHS. Persians. Yeah, well, HHS has already figured out that the Armenian community has like 30 times the adult day services, housing, justification loans, and so what's going to happen is all these communities. It's going to be like buying wine. It's going to be, what do you like? Well, I like Sicilian wine. I like Sardinian wine. These guys are all going to have their special VIGs that they put together and they specialized in. And, the Somalis up north, they give 10% to Al-Shabaab. And the Armenians probably send 10% to Lebanon because that's where half the families are from. And there's nothing wrong with those affiliations. What's wrong is they're harvesting taxpayer money at an immense rate. And I think they started in Minneapolis, one, because Walz was such a tool. And they said, we just got to shut Walz up. He's just an idiot. But then they saw the Somali community. It was so blatant. It's such a critical part of the state structure, how the state Democratic Party funds itself. It's all built in. It's it's Tammany Hall redone, right? It's Tammany Puntland. And they shut it down, and it's not even over yet. And all the leaders in the major cities, as you saw in the article I forwarded yesterday, they're all freaking out because they're going to go bankrupt. Because it's their economy. It's New York City's economy. It's LA's economy. They're all underwater if we don't keep paying for this illegal labor. And then it's hit some major industries, hit the meat processing industry. They've been saying for years, but we use E-Verify. Well, guess what? Everybody's got a fake Social Security number, the same one they vote with, right?
Right.
We have a problem. They can't pretend anymore.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that these states have decided they're going to give IDs and things like this. So this just makes everything much harder, right? And then by the way, and this helps them get the
goal of the program, right? And I didn't think it was this cohesive, and that's why I was doing the mea culpa last night on X with Rick, right? It's like, how stupid is Jim that Jim wasn't aware that the whole damn country's doing this. And it really points out why there's concern in Washington about actually pulling the trigger on this stuff, pulling the trigger on the Voter Act. I couldn't figure it out. What's happening here is this is going to take major municipalities into bankruptcy. And the only person who can save them is who? It's the evil Cheeto man, right? It's Don Trump. And nobody wants to go to Don and say, Don, you were right. Because he was right. This is a systemic fraud problem. And he's the only one in government who's been, who I should say has the fortitude to go after it. So, I mean, even Pam Bondi doesn't appear to want to go after it.
Well, I mean, one of the things we're going to talk about today that we have neglected. I won't say neglected. We have chose not to talk about up to this point because it's basically domestic politics. But but because it is now getting into the territory of future conflict, is the Epstein stuff. I mean, if you look at what Pam Bondi said, it could all collapse based on this, the entire system, right? And when she doesn't say the U.S. system or the UK system, though somebody said the UK royal family, she's talking about the kind of the macro system could literally fall apart if all this. Yeah, right. I agree. I kind of agree with this take that she's basically there to minimize the damage. It's like, there's going to be damage, but we need to minimize it as much as possible.
Actually, I think she's there to do the same thing the last attorney general was there for: shred the evidence.
Yeah, I get the feeling that nobody in the system has the ability to prosecute the scale of what's been perpetrated on the taxpayer dollar here. and it is core to our political system. We've seen that in Minneapolis. From the senators on down, they're all in cahoots. All of their programs are paid for by this. All of their policy asks support this. This is a pandemic across all of the blue cities. And if they pull the plug on it, the economies of those blue cities will collapse. Now, we've known that these cities were fragile. We had no idea how fragile because Biden pumped billions and billions of free dollars into these cities to hold them up. Remember the arguments by Newsom last year? Oh, California is a golden economy. It's the biggest economy. It's the fifth largest, seventh largest economy in the world. It generates more tax dollars. That stopped overnight.
Yeah, I was going to say not anymore. As soon as they just hint at that billionaire tax, and all of a sudden they have lost half of the half of the billionaire wealth has essentially left the state.
And also the banking tolerance for basing a company in California, the banking tolerance, investment bankers now, they won't do it, right? It would have to be unique. What they would say is, let's domicile you somewhere else. Let's put your expenses in another state. And then we'll talk about the investment scaling. It really makes zero sense unless you want to populate yourself with 100% H-1Bs to try to do Silicon Valley.
Well, the good news is Mamdani says they're going to seize any business that attempts to leave New York and seize all the money from these people. So it's all good.
Yeah,
just have never met somebody's money they didn't like.
Well, just wait until it's one of these kind of Wall Street banks decides, we've decided we're going to move. I'd be curious how Mamdani seizes that business.
So I'll tell you what's staying in New York is people who have legacy back offices. All of the funds, right? So the private equity funds and the hedge funds, they're already gone. They've already gone to optimal domiciles. So what's going to happen is they're going to see probably a 50% drop in over $5 million income people. And they're going to lose the corporate revenues and the employee revenues and the commuter revenues and all that. And that's already declined, right? And what's happened is instead of trying to resort and make themselves attractive, they doubled down on the illegal migrant population. Said, that's how Ocasio-Cortez's queen stays alive. It's illegal migrant subsidies. And we're already beginning to see it, right? So real estate was already hammered in the major cities. There was a report last week about Portland that the buildings in Portland are 70% down from their high values, right? So corporations don't want to domicile in these cities. And trying to get a young family for a programmer to relocate to Portland is not going to be easy. We're in a really interesting time where the cities have made themselves superfluous to commerce. They're impediments. They're the center of bureaucracy at this point. And they keep doubling down because the whole system of the politics needs to be supported for power. And I think we're going to map Minneapolis across the country into LA and into New York, and it's going to go. I mean, we've already seen it in Fulton County, for God's sakes.
Hey, Jim, I want to talk about this. How long, by the way, how long do we have to do? We first hour?
No, I'm good. Whatever you need. Whatever you need.
Great. One of the things
I need a coffee break whenever I begin to fade. I got to go get another cup of coffee.
If I may, before we move on too far, just to re-illustrate your point, I did have a thought. Somebody mentioned this weekend that my skills might be useful to a company like Palmer Luckey, for instance, right? And Durrell. So I went and looked at what job openings they have available, and when I realized that literally all of them would force me to relocate to either a border city or
Ohio.
a blue city. Well, there was Ohio, but Ohio's not real. I'm not going there.
Right.
I'm not going to take a job that makes $250,000.
It's not real. Well, no, that's the thing. It's a trap. If it's in Ohio, it's not real. It's not a real job. It's not a real place. That's how that works. That's how
the meme is very funny, but a $250,000 job, Roger, would be.
Well, I get you, but here's the thing. Most of the stuff that I would actually be good at is not, most of the stuff that I was trained for in the Marine Corps is not in Ohio, right? Like most of the production jobs are in blue cities right now.
You know how to run a CNC machine, Watcher?
That's one of the things I'd like to learn. No, I'm actually more in the micro miniature welding side. So I was aviation electronic technician eye level.
So
I'll tell you, one of the things that really, one of the things in shortage is how to run good machine tools. Sorry about that, Joe.
No worries. Mrs. Tactical Wisdom tagged me in something on Facebook the other day. It said that Ohioans have a 2% risk of being abducted by aliens. And I'm like, that's not true, because you can't possibly be abducted from somewhere that doesn't exist. Just saying.
Anyway, what I wanted to mention, Jim, and we'll talk about this later. I don't want to talk about it now because otherwise we'll go too far down the rabbit hole. Rabbit holes are good, not in the very beginning of the show. Is I want to talk about the interest rate stuff. We talked about this the other day. We had a kind of a collapse of all the things collapsed at the same time with significant losses in silver, gold, Bitcoin, and the stock market all at once, which is very fishy in the way it kind of happened, especially with what's been going on around precious metals. So I want to get into that with you, but we'll save that for later in the show. I just want to kind of get that into your head, so it's percolating, and I probably already was percolating, but it's just one of the things that I wanted to make sure, because I read a story about it the other day, and I honestly felt I was like I'm reading the story, I understand the basics of all this stuff, but it just didn't have the depth of knowledge to be able to give any analysis at all of what I was reading. So,
well, just as a warning, over the weekend they decided to install a Marine Corps brain in my operating system. So, like the drone, I now have.
Does that mean the reason why your camera is off is so we don't see you sucking on a crayon?
No, exactly right. So,
it is breakfast.
I will get a chance to defend myself later in the morning.
That's right.
Well, as a good.
By the way, Watcher, how are you doing today? Because we had that 15 minutes was our Jim. How are you doing today?
Oh yeah, I'm doing excellent. I am. Jim's here. You know what I mean? I'm always happy when Jim's here. I just want to add a little bit. Yeah, Jim, if you'll check in the private chat, I deeply want to learn a CNC machine. The issue there is the cost of entry in that particular field.
They are. So the cost of entry and the back ordering of said machines is a real problem.
Yeah. Well, no, see, I'd be fine with a desktop version. It's just most of the desktop versions that I can actually afford can only do wood. So
yeah.
Well, I think the key would be to find a job that would give you the job training, because most of those places are just looking for the right person to kind of throw them in the entry level, and then
something to think about for sure. Around here, it's welding, and honestly, welding is not a field I want to get into with the laser welders that are coming out. That's not something I want to invest time and skill into to have.
Joe, I don't know if you're hearing the same thing I'm hearing from Watcher, but I keep hearing I just don't want to make money.
No. It's different. It's more I don't want to move from the farm.
Yeah,
I totally get that.
I spent a lot of time talking to a welder over the last few months, and I understand the discrepancies in the welding industry. And you hear big numbers. It's hard to get those big numbers. If you take a union job in California, it's even hard to hit certain numbers. So
I'll tell you that it's about to get a lot worse too, Jim. And I don't want to get too deep into this, but as far as industrial stuff goes, if you're a welder, you need to look into these laser welders that are coming out, because they literally, you're talking about 100% root fusion on a 2-inch thick piece with a person who this is the first time ever holding a welding device. Yeah. And it's instantaneous and it takes no effort.
Let me make a public service announcement so that the chat stops asking the same question. Yes, we're going to talk about El Paso.
Yeah.
Stand by.
But right now we're talking about the youth being okay. And with that, let me introduce you to guys. The kids are going to be okay.
The kids are going to be okay.
Yeah, Joe, this is a Joe share. So I wanted to let Joe be able to. Hey, first of all, Joe, I don't even know what the kid's doing, because I'm kind of in the same position his mom or his dad's in. So explain what we're seeing here.
He describes very effectively how to build a jamming device, which I want to warn you all, that's illegal. You can get in trouble for it. But, you only get in trouble when you turn it on. But he's talking about he got some
He's designing
handheld radios, some walkie-talkies, and he's learning how to jam them himself using KiCad, a little computer program that a lot of kids are learning how to code and do things on, and design things on. So he's designing a jammer, and I love it. I'm all here for it. So,
whatever the heck this is.
So
do you want to explain this to me?
yeah, so this is called KiCad. It's a PCB designer. So currently I'm creating a PCB that jams radio signals. So say for an example, I have a walkie-talkie. If I switch this on, then it immediately jams it. No signals is coming through right into the radio. So this is my PCB. So I have a USB-C charging port, power only, so it doesn't have any data for a chip, but don't worry. So that USB-C.
So pause that for a second. That actually tells me this kid is incredibly smart, because he said there's no data. Don't worry. Therefore, it can't steal data or be reprogrammed via the USB by somebody who nefariously plugs into it. It's called juice jacking. Very smart. This kid is going places.
P4056, which is a thing. So it's included in all of your devices, your phone.
Yeah, this is 3 minutes long, but it's good, and the kids are going to be okay.
Well,
So
let's just make
something we learned by running the community security class. Although your jammer might be incredibly short range, if you insert the jammer in between the two people trying to talk on the radio, it effectively seals off communications. So,
the interesting thing here is we just need to make sure that kids like this don't come in contact with the left-wing woke mind virus, because that could potentially put them on the wrong side of the good guys.
yeah.
But the good news is, if you're focused on tech, you're generally not. You kind of insulate yourself from a lot of the stupid stuff. The problem, Joe, is that when that kid turns 13 and he meets a cute girl in his class and she starts telling him about save the whales and all that bullshit, then he's like, oh yeah, save the whales. That's great. Your tits are huge. All right. Moving on. We got another funny. So our friend Blaine has been way too right lately. And I love how I love his marketing is fear porn marketing. He says, I can always tell when there's tension between the right and the left of the country. Blue Dawn pops back up in the bestseller list. 100%. We are seeing basically everything that's going on right now is the prequel to the Blue Dawn series. You're seeing social enforcement standing up in Minneapolis, in Portland, in Los Angeles.
What number is it on the bestseller list?
I don't know.
69.
It's right there.
The funny thing is 69 was 6'7" before it was cool. I'm just saying.
Right. By the way, I concur, because my book sales popped up yesterday. So
Nice.
that does happen.
Ordered the whole series. Look at that. Save the whales, execute the dolphins. Anyway, Blaine has been absolutely just tearing it up on his on his predictions. Very good fiction. If you haven't done it, I highly recommend the entire. Especially if you've got Audible credits, get the audio books. That's how I've kind of consumed. I've got the hard copy books, but I've listened. What's that?
It's number one in Djibouti. So I'm just saying. Listen, the Blue Dawn series gets really good around book 5. I'm just gonna throw that.
When the purebloods show up. Yeah, I got you. Okay.
There's a particular
by the way,
character who makes it all better. So
Well, but
By the
that's
way-
not the
by-
only prediction Blaine made recently.
yeah, that's
yes.
another Blaine book that's coming true, right?
So speaking
I'm
of,
going to point out something, though, that this is an oddly specific claim to make. So this tells me he has actually seen some sort of a report about something. It might not actually be about aliens, but he's seen something.
United States Representative Tim Burchett says aliens could be stationed in 5 or 6 underwater bases off the U.S. coast. Now, if I remember correctly, I just sent out a graphic novel that depicts the initial invasion of the Hawaiian Islands. Let's just hope Hawaii is not one of the places where we have this. Watcher, if you had a camera, I'd say, hold up one of the books. But and I don't have any, by the way.
Squishy says he needs Blaine to write that he wins the lottery.
I do have a box of several different covers within arm's reach, but yeah, my camera's.
Hey, Joe, it is appropriate that you get Doorkickers before I get Doorkickers. So I'm just saying there is that.
Yes.
All right. By the way, what order did you? What books did you get? What covers did you get?
Stand by.
You got the books there
I
too?
just got the one cover.
Oh, the main one. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at that, everybody.
cover C coming eventually, but for right now, it's the first one.
Yeah, the Xevious one, right? I think you ordered that one too, right? Yeah.
Yep.
They should have.
That's pretty good.
They should have got there on the same day.
Hey, Watcher, do me a favor. You probably haven't, if you haven't shipped his other one yet, put together a care package for Joe and send him some more.
Oh, I have, but he'll be getting another care package at the end. These are all stuff that he just got from the campaign.
Yeah. I want him to have, maybe if we've got damage. By the way, did we ever get the damage books replaced?
No, we emailed them, but the problem is you get all the return emails, so I never see them. I didn't even get the return emails on that one. So. Okay. Well, yes, I submitted it through their system and submitted pictures.
Do me a favor and follow up on that. Okay. And then maybe we could send out to some of our key people damage copies that they can hand out as freebies.
Yeah.
Johnny, well played. Guam would probably capsize under an alien invasion. Well played. Well played.
That's true. That's according to the Congress members from that area, if I remember correctly. Yeah. All right. Moving on. We got a lot to talk about, and we're already 30 minutes in the show, and we're only on all right. So we already talked about this. We'll let it collapse. Pam Bondi says that if they prosecute everybody in the Epstein files, the whole system could collapse. Now, here's the. Now, I'm with you, Joe. That's my gut feeling. Here's the only problem. If American system collapses, what opportunity does that give China? And that's the only problem that I see here. Or what does that give an organized bad actor within America the opportunity to do that they otherwise might not be able to do?
I want to point something out, though, that everyone should be outraged and incensed about. And 100%. It is that she first said, I've looked at it. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Now she's saying the exact opposite.
Right.
So
she clearly
they're willing to lie to you. So.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Wait. She's blonde and she's a woman. That is something I already assumed.
It's way bigger than that.
No, I agree. I'm just saying.
Joe's like, I have to watch what I say about blonde women.
Yeah, right.
Well, there is that.
There is one frying pan distance.
This is generational. This is what he's alluding to is that she's a Targaryen from Game of Thrones.
Ah, there you go. Yes, thank you. It's a quick save. I appreciate it.
It's okay.
Well, here's the bottom line is that you're noticing that this is not the only story that's popping up in the news right now that's like this. You're getting a lot of information all of a sudden coming out, being provided by the FBI, mind you, about the 2020 election results were tainted in Georgia. And so what I think you're going to start to see are a lot of limited hangouts on stories that are deemed to be of lesser damaging value than this one. And those get pushed to the fore in order to kind of crowd out the Epstein stuff from the information space. And eventually what they'll do is it's kind of like aliens, right? When they eventually tell us about aliens, it'll just be like a press release on a Saturday morning. Yeah, by the
Oh.
way, aliens are real. And then on to other news, right? You know, that type of thing. And I think that's maybe what they're going to try to do with Epstein is hide it underneath like, yes, point of fact, Donald Trump did win the election in 2020. Oh my God. And then Donald Trump, of course, would just go on and on and on about that. Nobody will pay attention to the fact that, oh yeah, here's pictures of Bill Gates and a 10-year-old. So Hightower, Jim. She's a Hightower.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I like the.
You know, there's just a stupid conspiracy in the background of everything that happens.
Yeah. Here's the thing we gotta worry about, right? And so this is one of the things that a lot of people are talking about is that Jeffrey Epstein did everything he could to get to know. And Jim, you probably know people like that are in this boat, right? He was a connector within the New York kind of large, American, billionaire business scene, and he did everything he could to get close to literally everybody with 7 zeros after their name. And so there are probably a lot of people that have just like passing interactions with him that ultimately could get, that may or may not have done anything wrong.
It's the red carpet trap, right? So you walk into the same party with the guy. He's on their list. He was clearly on all the Democrat party lists. He was on the same list that Trump attended the same parties he did in the late 90s and early 2000s. I mean, they ran in the same circles. They were invited by the same groups. They paid for the same nonprofits. It just happened that Epstein was a scumbag. The showing up at a party where there's a bad guy doesn't make you a bad guy. And so the issue with this whole release is they can choose who they try to implicate, but none of them, they haven't produced any facts, right? It's like, oh, Lutnick was in the room. Lutnick was a finance guy. So was Jeffrey Epstein. You had 2 Jewish finance guys who were in the same parties, probably attended the same bar mitzvahs. Yeah, it's a smaller community. So you're going to cross paths. Maybe, you look at the list of people who went to the island, look at the list of people who partook, you don't understand it because nobody's saying anything about Bill Clinton, who was clearly omnipresent with the guy.
Yeah.
And yet that's getting deferred, and they're going after a guy like Lutnick, who's in the same industry as Jeffrey Epstein, and is probably a guy who has more reason to be in a room with Epstein than anybody else I've heard about. And yet they're piling on him, saying, oh, he's got to resign. It's all about forcing people to resign. And it's the revolver of outrage. They'll keep trying to find some way to get somebody to resign. It doesn't explain why they didn't just dump the files. There's mutually assured destruction in there, clearly, Joe. But in this kind of situation, you're screwed because data is fluid, right? It's going to seep out. It's like a hydrogen fuel system. You're going to have a leak.
Yeah. Get
it out, let it burn, and then wash your hands of it and move on. But the reason is they're willing to lie about it. And that goes to both sides of it. And that's why it's perpetuated the way it has.
Well, there was a story that popped up in my kind of feed a while back, and that kind of gets to this point. And I don't know. I mean, this may be noise versus signal. So, but it's the kind of thing that sticks with me, that makes me, as somebody who consumes and tries to sort through information to find, what's real and what's not. So like this is I'm just going to share my screen here real quick. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to go too much into Epstein. But this is the kind of thing that I am worried about. This is the kind of thing that could potentially collapse the system, right? It's not the real information, but potentially is the false information. So this is David Sachs talking about, the media is now mentioning people who are right coded, or and in the case of his left wing friend, the fucking moron from his show, who apparently met with Jeffrey Epstein in New York. So just as a minute and a half. So just give this a listen.
Brad, you speak about the corruption of power centers. I think a major one has to be the New York Times. The number one person in the Epstein files from Silicon Valley, which is Reid Hoffman, mentioned 2,600 times, had a multi-year relationship with Epstein. They call each other very good friends. They did deals together. Reid stayed at the trifecta, which is not just the island, but the townhouse and the New Mexico ranch. And if you're going to write about Silicon Valley, Reid was the one who introduced Epstein to Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, organized that famous dinner. How can you not mention that as the root of Epstein's involvement in Silicon Valley? And yet Reid just gets a mention in one sentence of that article along with several other people. It's crazy. I mean, the New York Times clearly has a list of people they consider approved targets. They're all right-coded. People like Elon or Peter Thiel and even J. Cal, because of his association with us, I guess.
His moron friend.
And they become the targets. But the people who've donated hundreds of millions of dollars to the Democrat Party and have paid for dirty tricks against Trump, they basically are spared.
Honestly, this is just emblematic of the whole institutional rot and the distrust in the country, right? They're part of the cabal. It's part of the institutions that people are losing faith in. You know, Epstein was a scumbag. And the fact of the matter is we're not seeing equal play on both sides.
If anything, I think what this does is it gives us an opportunity to note all the corruption and all the institutions that are connected, like the New York Times, like the Democratic Party. You know, these are the things that I think should be kind of attacked and collapsed versus allowing our broader system to collapse.
Can I say something here?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We're trying to get this out for a little bit, but one, the biggest revelation in all of these new Epstein files releases is that out of all of the people involved, Donald J. Trump is the only one who cooperated with law enforcement and the only one who reported Epstein to law enforcement during the event.
100%.
Everyone else was after the fact. He reported it during the event. So that's kind of an important revelation that everyone has skipped over. And the second one is that this is another dollar in the Norm Macdonald was right file when he said, hey, these satanic pedophiles running the government might not have our best interests in mind. There we are.
Yeah, Joe, I'm glad you said the thing about Trump. I don't like to come off as too much of a Trump fanboy, you know, but at the same time,
it's true. It's true. And we got to talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly right. You gotta call a spade, and he's not only is he critical of Jeffrey Epstein in public, but he was, I guess, an actual informant to the FBI on some of the more, I guess, maybe minor types of things that he had tangential connections with. So you got to give him credit. It's shocking, Joe, that everybody reports that when they interact with Trump, whether they're right, left, center, whatever, that he's a very decent person. Shocking that he comes off as a decent person within the fucking Epstein files.
Right. And
maybe he's a decent person.
Even when one woman wanted to sue all these people, he reached out to her and said, hey, how can I help you? So,
yeah. Well, there's I'll be honest with you. I got a little bored the other day, and I have going through Spotify, and I looked at their audiobook section, and one of their free audiobooks, if you're a subscriber, is the Art of the Deal. So I started listening to that, and it's so funny listening to Donald Trump. You know, his voice, right? Well, it's not his like actual voice, but it's him writing the book in the mid 80s, right? But he absolutely comes off as the same person that he is now. And it's interesting just to see how his mind works and how, you know, so anyway, enough gushing about the man who's supposed to be the Antichrist. All right. Enough of that topic. Let's move on, please. We have a lot to talk about today. This is perfect timing, by the way. I'm glad we didn't lead off and start getting into the FAA shutting down the airspace, because lo and behold, in the last 10 minutes, the FAA has announced that they have solved the problem. I was going to say we fixed the glitch in El Paso, and it has been lifted. The NOTAM has been lifted. Did you post in the private chat that They were saying that the DoD saw what? Go ahead.
It sounds like they probably used some sort of an EMP device on some drones, right? Go ahead, Watcher.
So here's what we have. So the FAA announced this morning's temporary flight restriction and notice to airmen over El Paso has been lifted, effective immediately, stating that there's no threat to commercial aviation. And then OSINT speculator says, and I'm still trying to track down confirmation on this, U.S. administration officials told Reuters that Mexican cartel drones breached into the U.S. airspace, which would make sense with another statement we were hearing earlier. If you guys remember, when we were researching this, somebody had made a statement in the government this morning about we will down hostile aircraft breaching our airspace. So,
yeah, it sounds to me like they were going to use some sort of a device to disable those drones, and they didn't want an aircraft in the air. So,
yeah. Well, the interesting thing is Juarez is right next to it, so I wonder how that may have affected airspace over Mexico as well. But
somebody was also pointing out that most of what was covered by the NOTAMs was actually the White Sands missile range, and
listen, Juarez is not exactly a tourist destination, the Mecca of Juarez, Mexico.
It is not. It is not. But a surprising number of my daughter's classmates lived in Juarez at an American school in El Paso.
Oh boy,
I know.
Well, if I lived in Juarez, I would do everything in my power to send my kids to an American school.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame people for wanting to do it. That being said, I mean, and they were doing it legally too, right? There are ways that you can do that. So let's touch on this other NOTAMs here real quick. Yes, everyone, there is another NOTAMs people will probably start freaking out about. It's the one that happens every year over Mardi Gras.
Yeah, this one is a standard one. I even in the beginning was like, "Oh, this is weird," but then Scott pointed out that it's the Mardi Gras one. So, yeah, it happens every year.
All right. So I'm glad we were able to I'm glad that we wrapped a bow on that one. So that's very good. All right. Moving on. A little check-in with our ICE brothers up in Minneapolis as basically they are not giving any fucks. They are absolutely doing what they should be doing. And I'm here for it. Woman is crying uncontrollably because she was harboring her illegal cousin in her house who just struck an ICE vehicle and fled into the home. She wouldn't let ICE into her home to get the illegal, and a crowd of protesters showed up to support the illegal. ICE broke down the door to get the illegal. This should happen 100% of the time. Absolutely.
And here I was assuming from the still that this woman was sobbing because she had fallen face first into a tackle box.
And it's 100% legal and 100% got what she deserved.
Yeah.
Guadalupe Lopez was inconsolable after she alleges ICE agents hit her in the head.
Damn it.
Her cousin, Jose Lopez.
Push pause, please. If I were a Guadalupe Lopez, the last place I would choose to live in America is fucking Minneapolis.
So
Go ahead.
she has two of the leftist crazy things: the lip piercing and the eyebrow piercing. So
yes,
opinion immediately disregarded.
That's all right.
Doesn't come out. We're gonna the door open. I'm like, bro, you don't have a warrant. You don't have anything. Like, what are you talking about?
The ordeal began around 8 a.m. The family says
he has exigent circumstances.
Left his home on the 2800 block of North Berry and drove off to work. He soon realized ICE agents were waiting for him down the road.
He tried to stop, but then they boxed him in. And then he said that he hit the brakes hard. He tried to make sure not to hit the car because obviously, he knows.
Family says Lopez drove back to the house and barricaded himself inside. Federal agents told the family Lopez struck their vehicle. When he wouldn't emerge, a standstill ensued.
Hold up. Homeboy legit pulled the, oh shit, I'm gonna go hide under my bed. Like legitimately was out in town, was gonna get picked up by the boys.
She doesn't realize she just destroyed her own case when she said, I mean, he knows, so okay.
Yeah.
You just admitted there was criminal intent there. Well done. Well done.
All the people bound to win.
Okay, nope, we don't need any
Oh,
of that.
the gay leftist singing cannot come on the show. No. and Hunch,
We-
just so you know, this is a punishment from God. This is your karma. You wanted a big booty Latina? I'm pretty sure she has a big booty. So there you go.
This next story,
Squishy.
This is terrible, and I am terribly sorry about all of this. There is just something about this that I can't take serious. Tumbler Ridge.
What are we talking about here?
The next story. Sorry, I'm trying to work us through more quickly.
No, I got you. I just didn't understand the reference because.
Well, you will hear in a moment. A transgender teenager has killed 10 and injured 25 at Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, Canada. Tumblr, the site which birthed the modern transgender movement.
I got you. I finally got what you were laying down.
Tumbler Ridge. Huh. Okay, so Jesse Strang, 17, began identifying as a woman in 2023. 6 victims were found dead inside Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, and another 6 died on the way to the hospital. Secondary school, I believe that's middle school.
This number they have there still doesn't add up to 10. It adds up to 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I guess he would be the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Yeah. If he. Yeah. Did he? Did it say that he?
Canadian. It's the
I'm
mountains.
betting that the 2 found dead in the home are probably going to turn out to be his parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it confirm that he unalived himself?
I mean, I can look in other places. It doesn't here, but
I mean, so we're inside the 48-hour rule. So literally outside of what you're seeing here on this post is about all we know.
Well, it's not 100% of what we know, because I want to point out how this was initially introduced by the Canadian media, which was that this was perpetrated by a woman wearing a dress. And then an odd statement from a Canadian Mountie when he whipped out a brand new newspeak. I don't know if you ever heard this one before, Scott. It was a gun person.
I mean, we have gun people in America. I mean, because like literally, let's be honest, that is a thing in America. But I just don't know that.
No. You misunderstand me. It was a person of gun.
A person of gun.
I
identify as an Asian.
Are pointing out that they knew he used an SKS before you knew his gender. And that's because the SKS is the last good gun that you can own in Canada. So they're about to remove that. I guarantee you by the end of the week, that'll be happening. So.
Can I just, as a little counter propaganda out there, I'm going to share something in the private chat, Watcher. If you could just put this up, maybe just listen to the first 30 seconds of this. This is something that I retweeted on my account, I think yesterday. But this just kind of goes to show you that you do not hate the people who flooded these young people's minds with this propaganda bad enough.
Teenager. I was a teenager. Okay, first of all, I'm sorry if I'm crying and I look like a mess. I've literally been recovering from surgery for like. I hate crying on camera because I think I sound so stupid, but I just can't help it.
Anyway, so you see the image. Bottom line, this young lady was convinced to detransition and begin taking testosterone at the age of like 15, and has probably done permanent damage to herself now. And she now has like cysts in her leg where the injection sites for the testosterone was. And then she has other detransition related issues going on besides these cysts. Believe me. Yeah, I don't know if she had top surgery or not. Probably, knowing this. These young people specifically, as much as we kind of roll our eyes when we hear them, they are absolutely fucking brainwashed. They are unable. I mean, if we can't let them get a tattoo, why do we let adults sign for them?
I'll point out too that a lot of them do it not because they believe it, but because it's the cool thing to do. Like it's probably the case with this girl. Then they realize, wait, I have destroyed my physical being forever. And I have to question any doctor who puts them on these things because it says do no harm. And as Liz Wheeler pointed out once at an event I was at, it's the only medical procedure in which we take a perfectly functioning human body and stop it and change it. And it's absolutely crazy.
You know, Joe, there's a chain of custody, you know, with a young person who wants to get anything done, right? The first line is ultimately the peer group, right? And when the peer group is love bombing them and basically peer pressuring them to do this thing, and then they say, "Mom, Dad, I want to do this thing," right? Then it's up to the parents to be like, "No, that whatever it is that your friends are telling you is okay, it's not okay," right? And so, so that's where it should stop. But ultimately, it doesn't because the parents now are, they're worried that if we don't go along with this, they're going to take our daughter away from us, or they're saying that she's going to kill herself, right?
Trans is the new emo. I mean.
But then, Joe, it goes beyond that. Then they go to the doctor, and the doctor doesn't handle it like a regular case. Like, okay, you shouldn't transition, or you should wait till you're 19 or 18 or whatever, right? No. The doctor says, right away. If you say that you need to do this, then I'm here to help you, right?
Big money to be made. Big money to be made.
Exactly right. 100%. I think it's absolutely. There's so many layers of culpability and criminality to this thing.
Listen, as much as everyone wants to say wood chippers for the pedos, there's room in there for these doctors too.
Oh yeah. Ultimately, that's the people that I hold feet to the fire the most.
Mengele level stuff. Right.
Yeah, and some of these parents too, where it's like Munchausen by proxy, where the parents are actually pushing their kids 100%. To do this.
If you've got somebody who has more than one child under the age of 16 who is trans, it's the parent, not the child. And it's crazy, and it is 100% Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
And for every parent who's taken part of this, there's a parent who's also a partial victim because they're getting pushed at it. They don't want to do it, but they're getting pushed at every point on the compass to do this, and ultimately they end up just kind of, like the mother is for it, the kids for it, the doctor's for it. I'm basically being told by CPS that they're going to take my kid from me if they do this. Oh, by the way, they're telling me the kid's going to commit suicide. There's a lot of people that can't handle that pressure.
I think that Vlad Tepes has a solution, and it's just not that complicated.
Joe, you're batting 1,000 today, my friend.
Well, I might have a personal stake in this after that incident. So,
yeah, I'm with you, brother. All right, let's. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of bring her up as a counterpoint to this fuckhead who decides to kill his friends. Next up, this may be related to the El Paso thing. Who knows? United States tends to. By the way, that's a picture of White Sands. If I'm either that's White Sands or that
looks like White Sands Missile Range.
I think I think that's White Sands.
So yes.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if that was the
that's the Air Force Base one right there.
Yeah, I was going to say the Army airfield at Fort Bliss looks kind of like this too, but it doesn't have the big White Sands thing or the drives. Anyway, point is that by striking, United States intends to begin carrying out strikes against narco-terrorists on land, Trump says. By striking the vessels, we cut down on drug smugglings. Now we began operations on the ground. We had to deal with the ships first, because if we launched ground strikes, cartel members would have immediately moved on to vessels. Now there are none left. Now we will start striking on land.
I doubt that there are none left, but okay.
Well, it sounds like they have greatly curtailed their seaborne operations after we basically blew up everything with an Evinrude attached to it, heading north. 4 Evinrudes, that's a target. It's the Evinrude counting guy. Let's see. There's 1, 2. No, he's a fisherman. 1, 2, 3, 4 narco terrorists.
I don't think even a fisherman needs 2, but sure.
Well, those fishing boats can get kind of big. All right. Oh my God. I swear to God, the inbred Islamic
K9
scholar.
Kilo is right. Fisher person, much like a gun person.
That's right, gun person. Jim, we still got you.
You
Be
do.
quiet.
Yeah. No, just I'm letting you guys prattle on about this. It's just
I prattle on. Thank you.
Prattle on. Oh,
prattle on. That falls into the category with Djibouti and Placid. One of the things that I found is this transgender shooting thing. Andy No has been on this for almost a decade now, and he's blown away. I mean, he puts up a line which is every month or two, here we go, right? It's going to continue. We've caused serious mental illness by perpetuating this myth that there's a large population of transgender people, and as you guys said, you get one of them in a school who happens to be an opinion leader, and you will get 70 percentile self-identifying in the next couple of weeks among adolescents. It is a distortion. It was fed by the DNC and it was fed by the left. So they've been used
100%.
now they're being abandoned into society, and we're going to have to deal with them. And it is not normal to inject yourself with large amounts of complicated chemicals to try to achieve a ridiculous outcome.
Well, you mean take care of them? Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you.
Sorry, that was a reference to The Sopranos.
Yeah, no, but in communist reference, they're no longer of value to the party, right? They've outlived their usefulness, so they've abandoned them. And this is one of the lessons that needs to be learned in the big cities: is hey, these people don't care for you. You're useful at a certain point, and then you get cast out. And I feel really badly for all the young, overweight females that are running around Minneapolis being lunatics, because at some point they'll get turned on too.
All right, let's move on to this to the next one here. Let's see. So these kids, when they get what we're learning is that these kids are easily programmed, right? We saw it during the Cultural Revolution in China. A hint towards our China topic later. And because what was it, the Red Guards, right, Jim? That was the student groups that were mobilized. That basically, literally, they were used to go after their parents and the older generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they went after their parents and their peers. So people ended up going to jail and dying. People were beaten to death in crowds.
Well, and then if you follow the logic, or if you follow the Cultural Revolution, what happened in the early 70s, you basically had all of these, turning on themselves kind of things. And this also goes to the whole idea of social enforcement that Blaine hits upon in his Blue Dawn series. I'd hate to continue to pump my buddy's book series up, but it's these young kids in college that are the most vociferous and violent advocates for this. And the way you get those college kids primed and ready is by starting in high school. And guess who's doing it, guys? It's the teachers. It's the teacher union. It are these radical people that we're turning our children over to with no. Here's the problem, right? Most of these parents are not bad parents, but they're busy and they trust that, hey, when I went to school, we didn't have this problem. So I assume that the schools nowadays don't have this problem. That's the fallacy that is, whether it's normalcy bias or it's not going to happen to us, that type of thing. But this is what you're starting to see come out of Minneapolis is showing the emotional kind of touch point that you need to trigger these kids to violence, and it doesn't take much. Watcher, go ahead and play the clip.
Let me say one thing first.
Go ahead.
This in the last little tidbit on this on resistance to evil by force study that Ilian pointed out in 1925 that the teachers were the ones programming the children to go along with the Bolshevik Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
In our modern society, parents drop the kids off at school in the morning. The kids go to daycare afterward, and they only get a couple hours with their kids at night. We're giving up all of that time and all of that social molding to teachers, whether they be daycare or school, and they're the ones poisoning our kids' mind. We have to be the ones programming their minds, not the children, because the children are going to do whatever the authority figure in their life wants them to do. And that is where the trans thing is coming from.
Yeah, 100%. It's the fucking teachers. So this is the latest. So let me just read while you watch this. Let's just read this here. Check out the latest disturbing video that's making rounds after another anti-ICE student walkout in Washington State. So this is not Minneapolis. This is in Washington. So probably Seattle, Portland, something like that. Portland's Oregon. Last week, hundreds of Lake Stevens High School students flooded the streets. One young man was seen getting beaten by other students. What led up to this is unclear. The principal sent out an email to parents saying that this protest was not a sponsored or endorsed. Yeah. So you basically let it happen, and then you wash your hands of it when something like this occurs. Bottom line is there's zero protections for students once they leave campus during school hours. It's time for the Washington Superintendent of Public Instructions to step in. No, not to step in, to fucking resign.
Yeah.
And there's got to be some things here. Like, I finally thought of a reason why to have a Department of Education, Joe. When states lose control of their school systems, to basically federalize the school systems and to potentially take them over. Now, that being said, I'm being facetious when I say that. There is no good reason for the Department of Education. But, when you have states that are like this, something's got to give.
Get the government out of the schooling business. Schools used to be ran by churches and local community organizations. I don't see anything wrong with that. And here's the thing, though. There are teachers literally teaching students how to protest in class. And that is ludicrous. That is not part of their role. It should never be allowed. Yet school districts are. More importantly, we've turned over the control of running our school districts to the unions. Everyone wants to complain about the Department of Education, and I agree it needs to go away. But the teachers' unions need to go away first, because they are nothing but Marxist indoctrination.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And if anything, I think maybe you could prosecute them from some sort of like RICO kind of act, the way they've taken this. Catching up a little bit, just me. That's good. Good to do. $10. There was literally medical seminars. Talking about the previous story about the trans stuff. Medical seminars reported on the news where Big Pharma telling doctors that this is the next big money move because they would be creating lifelong dependence on their meds. Yeah, that's the problem, is that when they start seeing, it's like, we don't care one way or the other. We just care that we're making customers. That's, once again, that's like Joseph Mengele level of.
It is.
All right. Colombian president is back in the news. No need to. He basically says this is him talking about recent assassination attempts against him. I have to confess, I've been traveling for 2 days, escaping being killed. I couldn't land because the lights weren't turned on in the morning. I didn't land where I was supposed to, fearing the helicopter would be shot at with my children inside. So we went out to sea for 4 hours, and I arrived where I wasn't supposed to be, but I arrived. Yasser Arafat levels of avoiding the hit teams.
He seems awfully calm for a dude who was just attacked.
Well, my question is, why doesn't he just go to a military base or something like that? Maybe the military is not
probably a lot less safe for him.
Thank you.
I think that a lot of his constituents were upset that he bent the knee, so he might just have to
Well, the irony is I think the one institution that probably is still fairly pro-U.S. within Colombia is the military, because we've continued to have pretty deep and involved interactions with their military at a lot of different levels. So I wonder. I think this is. I think it's probably the FNL. What is it? The FMLN.
FARC.
FARC. Thank you.
And it's, see, he's a FARC guy. So the difficulty is that it was convenient to have a FARC guy when you had Venezuela to kind of suck on. And now he's inconvenient. And the army's probably looking at him and saying, we told you not to become too inconvenient. And he is now the inconvenient choice. So my guess is he will depart us soon to somewhere else other than Colombia.
Yeah, like resign. Yeah.
But he's basically just the wrong guy in the wrong job. So we'll see what happens. Oh, he's also a commie, and he made the mistake of going after Trump aggressively and pounding his chest and threatening military action, and now he's regretting it.
Let's see. Together with the helicopter diversion, kidnapping in Cuyaca, and attacks in Aruca illustrate the security environment marked by cartel fragmentation, dissident armed groups, including remnants of now disbanded FARC. Yeah, right. With the 2026 electoral milestones approaching in March and May, the government's ability to protect candidates, officials, and infrastructure across more than 300 at-risk municipalities remains under sustained scrutiny.
That sounds like the United States, for God's sakes. Listen to this.
I know.
You could describe what we're talking about in the major cities exactly like this, which is the party choice has proven to be a bad one. The assumptions we made have been proven to be flawed. We've lied to you. We can no longer tap the illegal money we've been tapping. Thus, la mierda. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
This is Minneapolis. This is LA. This is New York.
All right. Moving on. Got some interesting moves going on in Somalia, right next to Djibouti.
They're creeping up on Djibouti.
That's right. Show of force by Egyptian forces stationed in Somalia held in the presence of the Somali president and the Egyptian defense minister. Now, Turkey has recently been flexing their military might in Somalia as well, doing overflights with F-16 kind of show of force. Now, that is a lot of troops. That's I won't say a lot. I would say a goodly amount of troops. That's probably the correct word.
Note some of the flags represented there in the UN force structure, like that one. So there's more than just Egyptian troops.
Egyptian,
there.
Yeah. What other country did you identify there? I think Turkey is probably in there. What else?
A Chinese detachment, which is significant. And I saw a Spanish detachment in there. So interesting.
Yeah. I guess they're trying to get their own Black Hawk Down going, because
apparently.
I welcome them to it. This is good to see. Other countries getting involved in shenanigans like this. We don't have to fucking get involved.
That one truck had an interesting antenna array on it.
Oh yeah, that SIGINT truck.
Yeah,
or ELINT. Yeah.
Well, I like the fact that it's AU, right? Let's put the locals in charge of the risk. Let them assume the frontline risk. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, Egypt has got a significant military, and I think it absolutely makes sense for them to flex their muscle in that kind of North Africa region.
There's no other choice right now, right? I mean, you've got two countries of consequence. You've got Morocco and you've got Egypt, and Morocco is cautious. They're systematic and cautious, and the Egyptians have been taking huge amounts of money from the Gulf. And they're now being told, if you want to continue to have an economic future with us as the labor pool, You got to start going and doing some things for, the concept of us, which is regionalization. There'll be some infighting, I can guarantee you that, but I'd rather have them patrolling Somali territory than Americans or Europeans. And I definitely prefer the AU with Arab backing to the UN at this point.
So there's this next one is some stills from the same thing we were just looking at. Following Turkey, Egypt has deployed Air Force assets to Somalia, expanding its military role with helicopters, light attack aircraft.
Yeah, light attack aircraft. The Texan is not really a light attack aircraft, but okay. That we used it as a trainer, but hey, cool for them.
Well, I guess it's that whole kind of special operations, attack aircraft that became vogue like about 10 years ago. Like, what was it? The Super Tucano was another one.
Yeah. Well, that's
so that one's an air tractor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, right. So you got the Texan, the air tractor, and the Super Tucano were like the three big ones that were competing for the Air Force dollars. And I think it was the Super Tucano that won. Anyway, point is that they're kind of in vogue because they're cheap, I think. To include that, we've got Mi-24s, the old Red Dawn Hindy, Mi-17s, air tractor 802s. Joe, I think the air tractor is what the Prince had for his Air Force for a little while. I don't know if that was in the Z days or if it was Academy or whatever.
Purple Rain.
It was the transition between the Black Hawk and the Z days, but yes. And ironically, the original variant of this is what probably shot down Dag Hammarskjöld in the 60s, the first UN Secretary General to be assassinated. So,
I mean, as one does,
one does.
All right. Hey, real quick, I want to get your take. I want to go down this this path on some of the economic stuff here lately. Jim, before we get into China. I mean, kind of what's and here's what I want to kind of mine your depth of knowledge for. What are the things that people need to be worried about potentially going forward? Not for investment advice, but just for like stability sakes. Like, for instance, I know that they're getting ready to redo the deaths and birth rate kind of for the unemployment rate. And so you're going to have like a one-time dip of almost 1 million jobs they're talking about. So there's a lot of kind of, stuff going on behind the scenes that I think will probably cause a lot of angst and consternation for regular people. Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was all set up for the question. Man. How's the economy?
You see, bad training. I've been spending too much time in the blue sun. My take on this is that they're building a new kind of data foundation in DC. They've tossed out the BLS model because, it was all bunged up and it was all manipulated. So I think most of these guys are looking for a fresh data start. And you'll get all the people who will say, oh, Trump's just creating false data. This is a completely new strategic model globally. And what you're seeing in the dollar is a move that's very predictable. We were printing money like a stuck cat. We now understand why as we look at our major cities and where all the taxpayer money went. We never were able to spin down the spend rate from the pandemic. They've kept those rates up. We saw the argument in the healthcare piece. Washington is addicted to paying everybody cash because they're skimming on it. And it's clear how the DNC came to power and how they collected all the money now. Let's see if they enforce it. But as part of this, the dollar took a hit. So the value of the dollar fell. Honestly, had to happen because it had been propped up for too long by higher rates. We need the rates a little bit lower, and that seems to be where Treasury's taking them. But it also means there's a run up in assets, which is why you saw gold, silver, and equities go. Not bad, not unpredictable. the dollar was overvalued. And under Biden, that was seen as something reasonable, but he didn't pay attention to much. And now under Trump, we understand that there's going to be a less valued dollar, and it will make domestic production much more attractive in international markets because we were up about 10% higher. My take is I think a lot of you are smart and have made money in gold and silver. Cool. Just be aware you can't eat by selling golds unless you got gold backs like Joe. You don't want to be giving an ounce of gold or a whole diamond to somebody to get a bag of food. So be prepared with various types of currency and denominations to do important things if it ever gets crazy. But the fall of the dollar is predictive, and the Chinese have done their bit to damage it. They clearly can't damage it. Japanese and Europeans are staying in it, even though they talk about not staying in it and threatening us, because it is the only safe currency at this point. The RMB, they've been trying to push the Chinese currency. That's not happening. But the Chinese are making loans in RMB and people are participating in it. But ultimately, we are the market. And the Chinese have been feeling the fact that the U.S. isn't buying their shit anymore. So, things are moving nicely and they keep attacking Trump. But what they're really afraid of is the recognition that their whole system in the United States on the left and the major cities has been found out. So let's hope our government has the chutzpah to go after them. I don't see them doing it at the level we need it done at, which kind of goes back to the Jeffrey Epstein discussion, which is why haven't they just dumped this out? I mean, if people have been hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, let them defend themselves, let them explain why they were on the island, on the plane, in the party. And if you really want to have a witch hunt, that's a stupid witch hunt to have, right? I mean, it's been a wasted 36 months with that man. And we have bigger fish to fry at this point. So dump the data, move on. And if there are a bunch of crazy pedophiles in a room, lock them up. I've got no time for them.
Lock them up is the moderate option.
Yeah.
I'm just out there. Hey, I want to point out something. This is from our last story, but I can't let it go by. Major Sarge says, "Wear your plates to Egyptian military parades." But I'd say ask Anwar Sadat, but he's not available for comment.
Evidently, he didn't wear his plates. Oh boy, yeah. I mean, there's so much. I think ultimately with the dollar, Jim, I was thinking it sucks for it to go down for a lot of people and a lot of assets. That being said, ultimately that helps kind of create an export boom of U.S. products. Especially when you're seeing U.S. products and the reindustrialization of the U.S. economy hit all-time highs, in at least from the last 20 or so years. I think we're in a good position going forward, but ultimately it's kind of like I think the whole system, has to not fall apart in order for us to do well.
By the way, with the rise of silver, they came out with these as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
It's a silverback with a dragon on it. It's actually Smaug on it, but
Smaug, that's cool.
Well, that's hopeful, Joe.
Good looking.
Yeah, Arkenstone, all that good stuff.
Yeah. No, it will be. If you and I had got the purple one, which was the original edition one, that one's worth like $2,000 or something.
Yeah. This one's a limited edition, 2,715 out of 100,000. So,
yeah. Hold on, let me grab mine.
So Scott, the dollar's kind of basing. If you go pull the chart up, it's basing now.
Yeah, 593.
But you become vulnerable because a lot of people don't like the way Trump has done the bilateral agreements with all of the people worldwide. He's doing the bilateral resets. It scares people because the multilateral stability that they all base their economies on is no longer clearly understood. So that's an excuse. But at the end of the day, the transactions are occurring in dollars. All the oil's moving in dollars. The alternative currency that was to be the Chinese basket in the Middle East for oil, it relied on these oil shipments that it appears everybody's taking down. And people are saying, oh, it's illegal. You can't do this. These sanctions are illegal. They're against. And you hear this prattle of various law structures. At the end of the day,
the Europeans, the Americans, and a lot of other countries have sanctions against this Russian oil game. And guess what? Venezuela was part of the Russian oil game. And so the sanctions are being enforced, and everybody's panicking because we're talking huge amounts of money in these large crude carriers. You know, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in goods are being taken, and they're being dollarized. So it's an interesting counterplay to this effort, which it was over the last 6 months, to undermine the dollar. But I think the effort to undermine it is spent. The next steps are, cyber warfare, cyber risk, sovereign country risk, based on what are acts of war. These are acts of near war, grabbing vessels under sanction. But if you see somebody take an economy down electronically, things will be different. And I think that that's been discussed, and I think people are ready for that. But it goes back to, be smart, keep some cash around, and hope your government is smart about protecting us, because it's their job to protect us and the currency. Well, and I like I like the language coming out of Treasury. I mean, I like them. They're smart.
Well, evidently, I was wrong about the direction on the job report. It just came out within the last hour. Let me just play this clip here real quick. This is CNBC, the most reliable business network. All right, here we go.
Non-farm payrolls for January coming in twice expectations at 130,000, 130K. That would be the juiciest going back to April of last year when it was 158. Now, if we look at a couple of months worth of revision, they came in at minus 17,000. Now, let's look for average hourly earnings month over month, up 0.4. That's 1/10 higher than both looking back and looking forward. 0.4 would equal October last year. You are all the way back to the summer of 24 to find a higher month-over-month earnings number. Let's go year over year. 3.7 exactly as expected. 1/10 light to 3.8 in the rearview mirror. So how does that stack up? 3.7 would be the lightest since it was actually 3.6 Thanksgiving of last year. Now let's look at hours worked, shall we? 34.3. That increase, that's a good thing. That's up 1/10 from both what we were expecting and our last look. 34.3 would equal November. To find a higher one, you're all the way back to March of 24. Now the unemployment rate may be the most important number of all, and it moves down 1/10, 4.3%. All the naysayers out there, they're going to like this set of data points. 4.3 would be equal to where we were in August of last year. To find a lower number, you're looking at June of last year. Labor force participation moved up as well. More good news, 62.5. That would be the best since it was 62.6 in April of last year. And drumroll, please, the final number I'm going to give you is U6, the underemployment rate, and it comes in at 8%. 8%. Last look was 8.4. 8% would be the best going all the way back to July when it was 7.9.
So, and then we got the dollar index here going up as well. So, I mean, it's just.
Why does he have to yell?
I know. Why are you yelling at me? I know, right?
All of them on there are like that on all the financial channels. Like, why are you yelling?
Yeah. Jim, the thing that I take away from what I've been seeing from all the financial numbers coming out has been like at first they were kind of fixing a lot of the problems for the last couple of years, especially some of the slop in the books. But now it looks like the Trump administration, a year into this, is posting solid numbers for the kind of broader economy. So I mean, that's got to be a good thing, I assume, even though affordability is still in the pits. I think. And we lost Jim, of course. Anyway, all right. So that's a good opportunity for us to get off the economy stuff. Joe, you want to talk a little bit about tactical-wisdom.com?
Why not? Why not? Watcher, first of all, you got to pull up that ad there.
Yep.
So this is an ad that's appearing in Recoil Off-Grid magazine for Mountain Readiness West, which will be July 24th through the 27th here at Camp Ponderosa. Pretty cool ad there. It's got Angry American on there again, so we'll see what happens there. But hey, look at that guy in the middle there teaching land nav in the black shirt.
Look at that guy.
Look at that guy. Anyway, it's going to be a great event. It's going to be pretty fun. There are the costs, and come on out and join us for the event, man. It's going to be a really, really good time.
Look at that Tactical Wisdom little logo right there.
I know, right?
I mean, look at that. All three of those. I'm friends with all three of those guys. And then Off Grid. We need to. What's the name of that guy? The Off Grid guy who interacts with us on X quite a bit. I can't remember. Fred something maybe.
Fred Stilton, whatever. Yeah. There's Patrick Dieter something or other, but good people.
Yeah, we need to get that guy on the show here.
Yeah, they do reviews of my books, and they're going to be out writing an article about it. Anywho, I finished off the Preparing for Unrest series last night with some steps you can take to prepare yourself and what you carry on your body for unrest and how to get out there and maybe do things. So check that stuff out. Very cool article, some great links and tips for blending in with the crowd and being able to get out there. So dig in, take a look there. I have also updated the calendar through at least May. We've got a whole bunch of training classes put up on there. And I want to remind everyone that we program radios. Someone sent me a couple of their radios to program now, and I'm gonna finish that. So check it out. Go to my website, see what's happening. There's lots of good stuff. Don't forget Mountain Readiness, July 24th to 26th. And for those of you who like to come out to who have been here at a class that have mentioned they want to go to the next brush beater class out here, it will be July 12th through the 17th. We're going to do RTO and SIGINT again. So come on out. Yes, Jason, I'm getting there.
I need to issue an update on a previous story really quick.
Yes.
The Department of War has issued a statement about the drones that they took down. Kind of a visual statement.
See, what does it say? Defend the homeland. Yeah, eagle with a laser blowing up drones in the background. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing coming out here to a class. I would be remiss if I didn't point out, since he's on the show, that sometimes when you come to a tactical wisdom or brush beater class out here, you get a special treat, and Old Hong Kong either makes dinner for you or drops dinner off for you. And I'm going to tell you what, that stew you made the last time was like the talk of the class, man. That was delicious stuff. So
glad you liked it.
Yeah.
All right. All right, the brush beater ad for today. Okay, in the midst of escalating chaos, domestic shootings, riots, unrest seeping American cities, unknown security crackdowns, plus rising threats of conflict with Iran and China stirring trouble again, reliable communications and preparedness are essential for staying informed, coordinated, and secure in your community. Unless there's a mischievous 12-year-old with a jammer around, curses you kids. Brush Beater Store delivers the gear and training built for these real-world threats. Anchor your setup with the Radtel RT950 Pro, high-performance handheld radio with built-in spectrum analyzer, multiband coverage, including CB, ham, GPS, and strong transmission to monitor signal and keep comms alive when the network fails. Pair it with the Tactical Communications noise-canceling headset for clear, hands-free audio in noisy, high-stress environments, perfect for patrols or team ops amidst unrest. Gain deeper insight with the Tiny SA Ultra Spectrum Analyzer, a portable tool to scan frequencies, spot interference, and detect threats, boosting your SIGINT edge. Transfer the hardware into capability with the RTO 3-day course, combat-proven training and field procedures, signals operation instructions, and operating under pressure. Beyond these, check out Brushbeater's lineup of radios, antennas, thermals, night vision optics, field manuals, tactical gear, logo, apparel, freeze-dried food, and growing selection of rifle and pistol magazines to round out your preparedness. Let's see, get the RT 950 Pro and build your net at brushbeater.store/collection/handheld-radio-HT or enroll in training at brushbeater.store/collection/training. Use code CFC10 for 5% off all radios, accessories, and courses. Orders over $100 shipped for free. Big thanks to Matt, Brushbeater Store, for powering the future conflict while unrest grows. Head to brushbeater.store, enter code CFC10, and form the connected security presence your community needs. Now, back to the show. I pared the last one down a little bit. It was a little, I felt it was a little on the long side. Still, we're always trying to tighten our shot group here at the Council for Future Conflict. All right. Up to China. Before we get into the specifics, we had a lot of stuff about China 2 weeks ago when we had the purges going on, Jim. What do you think of the final takeaway from all that purge talk? Because that disappeared very quickly from the net.
Yeah, so when they do that, they're doing it for internal consumption, right? So they're doing it to reinforce the controls in China among the people. And they got way out over their skis on it. So their digital footprint was much too big. And so it allowed people to see that there was internal strife. But what they're unhappy about is that their systems aren't as good as they had thought. And people will say, oh, that's a false flag play, blah, blah, blah. Everything works as it's supposed to be. It doesn't work. We know that. It takes decades to get these systems stabilized. And whether it's ICBMs or hypersonic vehicles or electronics, the shit doesn't work on day one, guarantee you. And I think that the problem they had is they had guys throwing their weight around. They had folks who had said systems were ready for prime time when they weren't. And, all fairly typical in communist countries because you don't want to be the messenger. So they swept a lot of people. That also gave Xi Jinping the ability to get rid of people who threatened him in the next power cycle because he's clearly not delivering at the speed he promised. Their international play is not as good. The United States has not backed down. Europe is not cozying up to them. It appears only the Canadians have cozied up to them. But it's a classic case of overpromise and then get purged. So the technical class, the PLA, and a couple of political officers in the CMC are gone. You end up with it's Groundhog Day. They're going to put some more party apparatus guys in there, and some of the programs will be delayed. But man, remember they produce an immense amount of weapons. So just on scale to scale, they're still a major problem. The most concerning thing has been watching the KMT in Taiwan go play kissy face in Beijing and try to rekindle, quote, peace or discussions. We can't have the KMT meddling with the Chinese Communist Party. It's just that's been a problem for us. And now that we're sending them good weapons, we have to be very careful about that. We have to demand that stop. And I don't know if anybody has that portfolio. Haven't been able to see who's running the Taiwan desk. But I remain ever hopeful. You know me.
I'm sorry, Jim. I have to interrupt here. I just wanted to say shame to Rowan Court. That degeneracy will not be accepted here.
Cringe at Scott reading. Yeah, Scott does well until he has foreign names, and then it gets hard.
Well,
if I haven't seen the name before.
Even the irony is there are certain parts of the country world I'm good, but there are other parts that I just I've had enough challenge to where I'm just like, fuck it, I don't even want to do it.
You don't even pretend anymore. Yeah,
that's right.
Well, you got along well in Turkey. You could do that one. It just I used to mispronounce the name Turkey to Turkish people constantly. Oh, and they hate that.
They hate it, but no, I was never corrected, not once, by a Turkish person.
Wait. Are you saying you enjoyed it? You got pleasure from mispronouncing their country name?
100%. Because evidently all the NATO officers did that all the time, but there were certain European ones that went out of their way to say. The only time I ever got corrected were by other Europeans.
Yeah, the party officers, the purity guys.
Anyway, I also told them to their face that I thought NATO should have been dissolved in 1994.
At the latest.
And let me just say that there were several of them that were just like I literally got one colonel, this German colonel, started almost hyperventilating. Or was it was a Norwegian colonel, I think he was hyperventilating. He hated me until the very end. I ended up teaching a class for his people, and all of a sudden he liked me because he's like, oh my gosh, you actually know what you're talking about. And I was like, yeah.
I thought you were a boor.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just it, right? It's like they don't want to like the Americans, but then when we bring it on our technical professional kind of stuff, they're kind of like, oh, well, shit, these guys kind of know what they're doing.
Funny.
I know. Heavens to Murgatroyd, we have competence.
But so back to China. I mean, have you seen that it's calmer?
Yeah.
So they're slowing the pace of push, and they're waiting to see what the Trump-Xi discussions produce, and they've kind of shot their load at the dollar. So their real problem is Trump is executing, right? And that the dollar is not collapsing. The dollar is resetting, and we will be more competitive. And we will be more competitive in things like vehicle production. We'll be more competitive in semiconductors in partnership with Taiwan, Korea, Japan. Japan has reset. She has done something that nobody had in the story.
Oh, yeah.
12 to 18 months ago. And so the Chinese know that they're not just chasing a very unpopular Mr. Trump. They're chasing a very popular PM in Japan. And she's performing aggressively. The Japanese are tired of being the nice guy to China. And I think it's good to see. Now, it's a double-edged sword having somebody like Japan remilitarized. A lot of feelings about it. Nobody seems to have those feelings about the Germans, right? The only people griping about the Germans militarizing are the Russians and the Poles. And you can understand that. But guess what? We can't afford to militarize all of our allies anymore. We're having trouble getting them buying F-35s now. I don't want to get into the intricacies of the F-35 as a system, but it seems to be the system chosen to use the communications needed to play this new game of unmanned aircraft and scale. So they need to be buying our stuff, and they hate it. They really do. They would love to buy anything else right now just because their pride's been tarnished. But pride is not how you win wars.
It's funny that you should mention that because I just happened to come across something on my feed here. It says Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever says, we will buy more F-35s. There is no other choice. Cutting ties with the United States would be a colossal stupidity. From one day to the next, breaking with NATO is impossible. Geopolitics must not be emotional. That's a very realpolitik kind of answer coming out of
it's coming out of all of them. And it snuck out of Canada yesterday or the day before when they actually upped their order of F-35s quietly and put a deposit on more of them. So this angst and Strom bullshit from all of these liberal European leaders, it's all performative. And I get lost in it. And it's like that movie, The Mouse That Roared, from the early 60s. It's like they're going to hop in their little boats and come over and rattle their swords at us. Guys, look east. We're not your problem. Seriously, we are not the problem. The problem is the East. And you've got places like Canada and Denmark saying, oh, we got to defend ourselves against the Americans. It's just absurd. Absolutely absurd.
Now,
Yeah.
we don't have a separatist movement underway in the United States. We have a problem in our major cities, but we don't have a separatist movement. Canada has a separatist movement, right?
Yeah.
They have a problem up there because their economy has been moribund for a decade and they're doubling down. UK, same thing.
And that is ultimately the jet fuel that she has in Japan. It's their economy has been so fucking feckless under all of this for all the policies for the last 25 years. Don't you remember Japan was going to take over the world back in the mid 90s, and now that is just laughable. It's not that Japan couldn't be great again. The problem is that they've decided they didn't want to be for so many years.
Well, no, they played the Canada model, which is we're gonna walk along here with zero rate capital, and we're going to invest in projects that are very self-selected. We're going to go where we can win. And now they're a machine that says, okay, well, we have to defend ourselves. The United States, our best ally, has asked us to, and they're going to reassess the way they look at defense. And it's happening so quickly, nobody understood. But when the Japanese set their mind to something, they do it. They execute well.
Yeah.
And they've had, most people don't understand how, when you see a Japanese F-15, how much of it is Japanese. They don't understand when you see a missile in Japan, how much of it is Japanese input, right? Now, they're beginning. Yes, exactly. They're beginning to produce their own long-range missiles. They're producing their own systems. They have great capabilities. And what's good about the Japanese is they will share that capability back into the United States. Now, they'll charge for it. So unlike the Israeli model where we paid for most of, what is it, David's sling and what's the other one, the Arrow system?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
We paid for that. In Japan, they're just going to develop it and then they'll come back to us. And they may develop it on a Raytheon platform. It really doesn't matter. But there will be a sharing of best-in-class technology to produce things. I mean, we rely on them for gallium arsenide semiconductors. We didn't have enough scale to do it here. So the Japanese started producing them. All of our military systems that use GA chips probably comes from Japan. We've had great cooperation with them, and that'll continue.
Well, the irony. Oh, go ahead, Watcher.
Oh, I was just going to say, before we move on from this, it's funny that you should say this because I recently saw this become kind of a topic recently, which it essentially says, if this happens to Japan, will the international community step up for Japan like they did for Ukraine or Gaza? And I have to say, interestingly, I think Japan uniquely has generated enough international interest that you would probably see orders of magnitude more support for Japan voluntarily than you saw for Ukraine.
Yeah. Japan has looked at every permutation, right? And so weren't they the people that were the first people looking at Aegis Ashore?
I believe so.
I think they were really early on Aegis Ashore discussions, right? They wanted an immediate solution for in-theater IRBM defense, blah, blah, blah. But between South Korea and Japan, they can do their piece of what would be the Iron Dome continuity from North America, right?
Well, the interesting thing with Japan was, Aegis Ashore was our kind of solution that we were basically saying, hey, we want to build this there or whatever, and they were going to help pay for it, but ultimately they decided, hey, we're not going to do Aegis Ashore, we're going to do these ships, right? And they've come up with a new class of essentially it's like an air defense arsenal ship with an Aegis system on it that is, it might be a model for what this Trump class battleship would look like.
The golden battleships.
Yeah, the golden ships.
Can you pop the map back up, Watcher?
Oh, oops. Yes, it'll take me a minute though.
Yeah. So one of the things that people have to understand too is when you look at the barrier that First Island Group is, and Japan is First Island Group, right? Put your defensive systems there, and then look at where Guam and Hawaii and California sit. It's actually not a bad place to have really, really good in-theater air defense, even exo-atmospheric air defense. You want it there, right? You don't want it
only on Guam and Hawaii. You want to get to those in the ascent phase. And I think that Japan is uniquely qualified for that position.
Yes.
Across all of northern China.
And again, I just want to say, somebody asked what would happen if this happened, and one of the many responses was,
as long as it's not Tom Cruise, I'm good with it.
Well, I know we don't usually get into gear or like systems too much on this show, but I just wanted to share this real quick. This kind of gets to what we were just talking about. Japan's super SEV super destroyer, fresh details unveiled. And this is basically this is a Lockheed Martin showcase the first time a scale model. So there you've got that combined. Japan is essentially calling on the American defense industry to work with their industry partners to create these things. It's larger than any other destroyer in the world, excluding the unique Zumwalt class. It revealed intriguing details about the configuration for the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, so-called super destroyer with capabilities and size seemingly surpassing China's Rahai class, which is the type 055. So the whole point is for it to become a giant air defense platform. It would have the Aegis radar system, and it would have the largest number of VLS tubes, and that kind of we were talking about that the other day with Iran. It's how many VLS tubes do you have available to put munitions in the air, and this is not the kind of thing that's designed to defend against drones. This is going after specifically ballistic missile defense. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting, and it kind of aligns with what we're talking about there. All right, so let's get to this first one here. China sends carrier killer. Let's see, let me load it. China sends carrier killer destroyer right into Iran's doorstep as U.S. strike rumors explode. China, this is that 055 destroyer we just mentioned. China's deployed their advanced naval assets, including at least one type 055 destroyer, often described as the world's most powerful surface combatants, towards waters near Iran. It appears tied to preparations for joint naval exercises with Iran and Russia rather than a direct response to imminent Western attack. The ships are heading towards the Gulf of Oman, northern Indian Ocean, and the area near the Straits of Hormuz. It might be good to have China have a front row seat to the shellacking of their Iranian allies.
Yeah, I mean, not wrong. And I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but I saw reports that Russia actually just basically pulled out and
abandoned Russia. Yeah. I've heard. Hey, Jim, I don't know how much of that you heard, but essentially we were just talking about how China's parking one of its biggest destroyers off the coast of Iran, getting ready to take part in these exercises with Iran. And I was saying it might be good to have China have a front row seat to the other destruction of Iran if it occurs in the upcoming days.
It's probably the one that's based in Djibouti. So it's the only option they have. So they run it north, and they're going to go observe the fireworks, right? So,
well, it would be a hell of an intel collection, reality check, I think.
So is that one of the Luons that they've got out there? I think it is.
It's that big one, the type 055 class.
They're very capable vessels, but they only got one out there, right? So it'll go north, and it'll go hang out and
turn on its radars and watch the show.
Protect the pride of their economic alliance. And it sucks for China because all of a sudden they're having to pay more for oil. And the funny thing is there's a price matching scheme clearly that Trump and the Europeans have put in place, but people are buying Venezuelan oil and Iranian oil they're buying it at prices that don't allow the middlemen to exist. So again, in support of the dollar, where we dollarize the energy industry again, and the Chinese are left out. Indians are going to have to pay a little more, but everybody seems to be on board with it because of the destabilizing influence, right? So it went from, well, Saudi and Qatar aren't supporting us, to Saudi and Qatar are comfortable that we are not going to use their platforms to deploy attacks on Iran. Okay, cool. So the aircraft will leave Qatar and Saudi and then go attack Iran, but aren't coming from Saudi and Qatar. So the game is being played. I have a feeling Iran is going to go down. And I think it's because Trump was serious when he said, don't kill the young people. And he seems to take that very personally.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this I always hate to kind of attribute his major decisions to ego flexes, but this may be one of those times when he kind of told somebody to do something and they didn't do it. And he's basically going to give them, kind of what the Maduro got, right? The FAFO. Yeah. I just hope that we do it in a way that minimizes U.S. boots on the ground.
I don't think he gets enough credit for why he gets upset. People say it's ego. Man does have a big ego. Not gonna argue that. But when young people die, it bothers him. He's angry about the people dying from fentanyl in the U.S. He's angry about the people dying in Iran because the mullahs won't give up power. He's really angry about how many people have died in the Ukraine-Russia war. I think he actually believes that. And that's why he takes action. And you can call it ego if you want. It's part of his ego. But he really doesn't like to see innocent young people die.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to other stupidity by China in the world. We talked about this, I think, briefly on one of the recent shows. But I've got a new one in there, Watcher. This is go back to the notes. Okay. The second link.
That's the Filipino fisheries vessel, huh?
Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a second.
You got to love those guys.
They are dogged.
They are.
This next one is a NPR story. I didn't know NPR was still a thing. I thought they went out of business.
Mostly, they've shut down most operations. It's funny. As long as you're going to bring that up, I told people for years that whole the government gives us almost no money was an absolute fucking lie. Like
it was like 65% of their fucking budget.
Oh, it was more than that. Like the whole lie was like, hey, that's if you only count programming. If you count all of our infrastructure as being completely free, including the buildings we operate out of and the microphones we use, then the government doesn't pay for anything.
All right. The U.S. claims China is conducting secret nuclear tests. Here's what that means. Late last week, the U.S. leveled an explosive claim that China is planning secret nuclear weapons tests and has already conducted at least one. China denied the allegations, but experts are worried that the claims mark a further unraveling of a long-standing global norm against nuclear testing. Yeah. We were talking about the nuclear test or the nuclear weapons negotiations with Russia, between Russia and the U.S., because the U.S. wants to get China on board, and China's like, what's in it for us? The devil is in the details. Here's what to know about the U.S. claims on Chinese testing. So the reason why I chose NPR was I wanted to see how they spend this, right? Because clearly they're fucking anti-Trump. The Undersecretary of State for Arms Control and International Security, Thomas DiNanno, disclosed major U.S. intelligence finding on the Conference on Disarmament in Geneva on Friday. I can reveal that the U.S. government is aware that China has conducted nuclear explosive tests, including preparing for tests with a designated yield in the hundreds of tons. He went on to say that China is using a technique known as decoupling to hide its activities. China conducted one such yield-producing nuclear test on June 22nd of 2020. I'm sorry, not 2022. The Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. did not respond to NPR's request for comment. China firmly opposes the U.S. attempt to fabricate excuses for its own restarting of nuclear tests, it said on a statement to AFP on Monday. Most nations haven't tested nuclear weapons in years. The last full-scale nuclear test took place in North Korea in 2017. That was a time of a lot of consternation here in Korea, by the way. As of this month, we are in the longest period in human history without a nuclear test. That's since the U.S. test of the first atomic bomb in 1945. That's actually a pretty. This is a pretty interesting site here that they're showing a picture of. See this mountain range here? This mountain range is actually. This is looking towards the south of this valley here. The Sedan crater. It's probably that big one in the middle. That's the largest subsidence crater in the world. Created by a nuclear test from the 1950s. And then these mountains here on the other side of this mountain range right here is Area 51. Go figure.
So that's Yucca Flats.
Yeah, well, this is the national test range north of Vegas.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. My grandmother was a downwinder.
Let's see. The U.S. conducted its last nuclear test in 1992, and China conducted. That's the year I graduated high school, and conducted its last official test in 1996. Both nations are signatories to the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which prohibits nuclear testing. Although the treaty has never been ratified, major nuclear powers have generally upheld their obligations not to test. An explosive test can mean many different things. While major nuclear powers have not detonated a nuclear bomb in decades, it doesn't mean work on nuclear weapons has stopped. The United States scientists embark on a program to maintain the weapons without testing them. That program includes some computer simulations, science experiments, underground explosive tests on components of nuclear weapons. NPR was granted rare access to these tunnels. The experimentation take place in 2024. The explosions do not trigger a nuclear chain reaction. They are designed. They're designated subcritical tests, and thus do not involve American testing moratorium. China and Russia are believed to have similar programs. Russia's been modernizing its nuclear facilities in recent years, and China has expanded its main test site by digging new tunnels. The U.S. has long suspected that China and Russia are conducting experiments that do trigger a small nuclear chain reaction. But part of the problem is that the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty does not define what an explosion is. God, it's almost like that is a key failing of the agreement in the first place. The more you read about these things, Joe, the better they get.
Yes. The best part of this entire story is that China's representative is named Ankit Panda. They have a literal panda bear responding to this.
Of the panda family. Let's see. Lewis revealed that the China's alleged test in 2020 probably wasn't too large. He revealed that this publicly available seismic data from June 22nd, 2020, and found no signature of an explosive test near China's test site. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization also said in a statement that it had not seen seismic evidence of a test. When asked for more information about the alleged test, the State Department told NPR more information will be released soon. One reason for the lack of seismic evidence might be that China is hiding the test through decoupling. Decoupling is another way of saying it conducted the explosion in a large empty cavity. Lewis said when the shock wave from the blast hits the walls of the cavity, much of the energy doesn't transfer to the rock and the explosion looks much, much smaller than it really is. Global monitoring systems are extremely good, however. So even with a decoupling, it's extremely unlikely this was a full-scale nuclear test.
Yeah, it doesn't actually sound very plausible that a nuclear explosion could be contained by a rock. So,
yeah.
We do them underground, but there's always some sign of them somewhere. Seismic activity, whatever. Oh, Rowan has it. They used a nuclear silencer. Got it. My bad.
Rowan, that's a nuclear suppressor, my friend. All right. Anyway, so I just thought this was interesting. Jim, any thoughts on what Mr. Panda said about all this nonsense?
Yeah, I remember there was a flurry of flights, air sampling flights back then. The 135s with the air sampling systems were running up and down the coast. 2020. I think the Koreans have been used kind of as a shield. Every now and then, when the Chinese want to do some work on something that's visible, I think you'll probably see that they're playing in the background with the Koreans, and the Koreans do something that leaks into the atmosphere, and the Chinese will do something behind that signature, and they'll probably use the same kinds of plutonium and uranium that are being used in North Korea, just to try to obfuscate the obvious, which is they're trying to make their weapons more efficient, more reliable, and smaller.
Yeah.
Which seems to be the battle that everybody's having now. Because when you want to go hypersonic, you better have a small, very stable warhead.
Yeah, it's a reminder to your point. When North Korea shocked the world with their hypersonic missile that changed directions while it was gliding towards the U.S., that was actually a Chinese device that they had the North Koreans put into the air because it was more politically palatable and more expected that the Koreans would do such a thing rather than the Chinese.
Ding, ding. Exactly.
Yeah, as a Chinese test, they just use a North Korean facility to do it.
Yeah, never forget that despite the closeness between the North Koreans and Russia, which is a historical thing as well as a continuing thing, but China is still the kind of the patron saint of
North Korea owes its entire existence to China.
Yeah.
It would have vanished in 1950 as part of a new unified Korea, if not for China.
We've got a post here by the let's see. Now, I don't know how recent this footage is per se, but it was good footage, and it's a recent post. So I thought I would show this because we haven't talked about the South China Sea enough lately. This is footage from 60 Minutes. When you deliberately trespass into somebody's EEZ, then you ram their vessel and damage them. What is it called? It's called hooliganism, which is being carried out by the CC. This is the Coast Guard. The Philippine fishery ship is basically just being inundated by the Chinese Coast Guard, and then they get rammed. There's another. You can move on to the next one. These are Chinese fishermen. Chinese fishermen are turning the Yellow Sea into a war zone, shielded with nets and iron bars. They attack a South Korean Coast Guard with metal rods and axes. They also joined the boats into a giant fleet formation to dodge the law. Yeah, the Koreans aren't fucking around either. They're absolutely taking the fight to these fuckers. It's good to see, and I haven't really seen much. I mean, these are some really high quality ships that the Chinese have got there too.
That's a sea battle if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, it's a boarding action, right, Joe? I mean, that's I don't know if they're getting combat pay, but they should be.
It's way easier to board ships when you shoot the guys swinging things at you. That's just been my experience.
Joe's reaching for his cutlass.
Results may vary.
And so this fishing thing is becoming a problem globally. The Chinese fishing fleets absolutely are a problem. I'll draw your attention to this map. This is China's distant water fleet is decimating sea life around the world. Look how the fleets concentrate around Africa and South America. They target smaller countries without resources to confront the state-sponsored ships. This is economic and environmental disaster. Look, especially around the Philippines and then off the coast of South America, especially around Argentina. Unbelievable, guys.
I'll point out, too, that if you look at this map from a strategic standpoint, it's also a security operation for them. There's some good sea lanes that they have under their control via this maritime militia, like transiting from the Indian Ocean to the South Atlantic, which would be kind of important if you ever wanted to attack the U.S. homeland. on the East Coast from China. So they've got that on lock. There's quite a few of them up there towards the Straits of Malacca and around all the South Pacific islands. Yeah, this is a pretty big deal. And they're completely covering that gap between West Africa and Brazil.
The other thing too is that it's not just having the boat there to do something, and that whatever that something may be. It's intelligence gathering, right? All they need is a kind of a satellite phone, and they're able to call in things, whether it's heavy air traffic that they're noticing, or anything different that they may see in the middle of the ocean. And when you have the fleet densities like you're seeing here, you can cover a lot of air and ground with all those boats.
I'll point out too that areas that are heavily patrolled, China avoids. Look at the lack of ships along the U.S. and Canadian coast.
Yep.
And the lack of ships in the GI-UK gap. So
anyway, yes, the China. Jim, I know this is something that this has not become just a problem yesterday. This has been going on for a while.
Well, yeah, China has an insatiable need for low-cost protein, right? And so they built these giant fleets and they deploy them worldwide, and they have factory ships, and they control the seafood trade worldwide. So hey, they'll follow rules where they want to follow rules, and they'll be at the edge of the rules like they are off Peru and the Galapagos. They'll push the edges on Argentina up till recently. The Argentines don't like it. Peruvians don't like it. So they're beginning to push back on it. But it's hard to get rid of 1,000 of those vessels. And they're getting things like the Chilean sea bass. When you see that in the market, probably came through a Chinese source. Squid, Chinese source. And it's all packed in China. So regardless on where the planet it's caught, it's frozen, sent back to China, and then processed into store stable stuff, and it gets delivered. So when you see farm raised, you see wild caught. Try to read a little more deeply into what you're getting when you buy seafood.
Point of order.
And note that Donald Trump opened up East Coast fisheries.
I saw that.
Point of order. I have
since Obama.
Just to be fair, that probably 10 years ago, the U.S. had a Japanese problem with this off the East Coast with tuna.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, point of order. I have a solution, gentlemen. It is a solution I have proposed in other scenarios. I believe it works doubly well here, even better than it does in some of those other scenarios. All that would be needed to solve this problem nearly instantaneously would be to introduce a bounty program on those boats and allow whatever captain captures one of those fishing vessels to maintain ownership of that now captured fishing vessel. This not only boosts the local economies and modernizes a lot of the fishing fleets that we're looking at you, Philippines, but it also deters and does so in a way that is somewhat deniable, right? No, those were third parties. They were simply fulfilling our bounties that we were allowed to issue because you're fishing in our territorial water.
Yeah, I mean,
so what he's describing is, if you look at the waters off New Guinea, that's the Pacific Island countries. That's Kiribati et al.
Yeah.
And they've all given long-term fishing contracts to the Chinese. That's why you've got that red density there. Funny, red density. But that battle's going on now. The Chinese are rebuilding an air base on Yap. There are a lot of shenanigans going on in the South Pacific because the U.S. kind of took its eye off the ball for a long time. And you have massive areas that are under the control of very small populations of local government, and they're very vulnerable to corruption. So there have been some interesting news about Micronesia and the other island communities and corruption in the last couple of weeks. So times are changing.
Yeah. This is one of those kind of things that we're looking forward to seeing countries just begin to crack down. And I think you've already seen Argentina sink several of these vessels. South Korea is not taking any shit. And ultimately they have to defend their exclusive economic zones. If they don't do it, China will just fucking wreak havoc.
An interesting thought: in an era of drone carriers, even a small country can actually have a pretty substantial amount of naval firepower.
So there was a discussion in the chat between which would be better for this, an A-10 or an AC-130. So this is a really tough call because I'm very, very, very partial to an airborne 155. So when that cargo plane starts circling around you with its left side exposed, you might want to get away.
And a giant gaping maw of a barrel pointed at you.
See, and I think that's a wonderful solution for us, but they're not around us. I'm trying to scale it down for the cheapies, and all I'm saying is, man, you're talking about unarmored wooden vessels for the most part. Incendiary bombs on a DJI would solve this problem.
That's what the 40 millimeter on the AC-130 is for.
Well, there was an interesting contract let by the Saudis for 4 very long-range maritime attack aircraft or maritime systems aircraft. European platform. It's the what do they call it? The 827, I think, is the American moniker for it. It's a small cargo plane produced. I think think it's a Spanish design, maybe a Casa, whatever. But the Saudis bought 4 of them. If you look at what that airplane can carry, it can carry lightweight torpedoes, which are very effective, by the way, but expensive. It can also carry, it's got wing-mounted pylons. You can put very low-cost guided missiles on those things, or drones, or whatever you want. You can push them out the back door, right? You're going to see more of that, I think, in this kind of enforcement, which is go away, go away, go away. And if they don't go away, I think they're going to drop the low-cost guided munition on them. And I think that this has been proven out in the way the U.S. has been handling Venezuela, which is if it's too much trouble to go seize the vessel, you just hit it with a low-cost munition, or you hit it with a C-130, give it a 105 millimeter round, or hit it with 30 millimeter rounds. It's much cheaper. And so there's going to be a war of how cheaply can we do this.
I'm shocked there hasn't been a call for new PT boats and the like.
I think the SEALs would get upset.
This is what they're going to start using some of those underwater drones for.
This is a great case for bringing back the Catalina.
Well, no, there's been discussion.
They're talking about it right now.
They really are.
They're chasing the amphibious aircraft thing now, talking to the Japanese. Japanese have a great big amphibian, and so do the Chinese.
As a young man who's got into modeling because somebody gave me a model kit and the PBY happened to be the first one I ever put together, I don't care how many Mustang fanboys come at me. That was the best looking aircraft of World War II.
I knew I could activate the watcher nerd by saying the word Catalina.
You did.
You wait a second. The PBY-3, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. If you've ever seen the conversion somebody did into
it's all right, but I'm telling you, man.
Let me say this though. In watcher support, it was the airframe that won the war for us because it was a veritable workhorse in the Pacific.
And if you've ever seen it converted into civilian use, it really is beautiful. You have to treat it right.
Well, it's one of those kind of things. Like, if you get a fat girl in the right dress, I mean, she could look pretty hot.
America was built on such things, Scott.
I mean, give me a Corsair or a P-51 any day of the week, though.
But the amazing thing about the airplane is it was made with plywood.
Correct.
Yeah. A lot of those airplanes were right.
What
was it? The de Havilland Mosquito was a almost entirely wooden aircraft.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on from that into Iran. We've had Iran so far away. We're at 2 hours, but you know what? We're here for you guys, so we will continue as long as these guys will bear with me. There's a lot of stuff going on. I want to start with this statement from the Secretary of War. Despite all the preparations, Trump continues to say that he favors a negotiated deal with Iran. This is a statement from Pete Hegseth. He says President Trump has been clear to Iran he wants a negotiated settlement. I think it would be a wise choice for them to take him up on the deal. The world saw Americans' capability, peace through strength, deterrence, and action. But to be expected, we hyped American military capabilities in the Middle East. Peace through strength, deterrent, and action. We're out of Iran before Iran even knows we're there. And I think that the bombs landing on the heads of the IRGC and the Iranian leadership will be a notification of delivery.
I just have to say, how funny would it be that they scare them into a deal now that the Russians have turned tail and already ran off and basically destroyed their relationship with them? How fucking hilarious would that be? All that for nothing, just posturing.
Well, here's the thing. They may have already gone too far with what they've done with their own people. I think ultimately that's the thing that's going to trigger Trump the most is how bloody the crackdown on their own people has been.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really surprising to us, but I think the rest of the world doesn't realize how bad it is because they believe government statements, right?
True.
Right. They believe that these small kind of private propaganda events are the actual people of Iran. No, this is literally a captured crowd. The vast majority, I would go so far as to say it's probably 95% of the civilians in Iran would prefer some other government. The problem is they don't all prefer the same government. So we will probably see some amount of internal struggle after the Iranian regime falls by hook or by crook. Let's see. This has been met with an Iranian military warning the U.S. assets in the region will be targeted in such a next round scenario. The IRGC core official it has reviewed that in the context of the Oman-based indirect negotiations with the U.S., Iran was presented with 4 demands that went beyond the nuclear issue. The key sticking point is Iran's conventional ballistic missile arsenal. Israel wants complete disarmament. Yeah. And here's the thing. That's all Iran has that can essentially affect Israel. And they know that. And that's why they want to keep that desperately. Because they want to continue to have leverage in the region. But if they lose that, they lose their leverage. What they don't realize is Iran has so much oil that everybody would listen to them because they're selling oil. But they don't get how that works. So far, Israel represents the hardline position, which has clearly influenced some Trump officials in the administration. But amidst the military and political pressure, Iran is not going to give up the one thing that it considers its first line of defense, the ability to hit back at an Israel-U.S. attack. And ultimately, that might be the thing that gets them fucking killed in the end. Let's see. Amongst these options presented to the Iranians is a temporary or voluntary suspension of enrichment, not dismantlement, a freeze for freeze mechanism, pairing enrichment pauses with sanctions suspension, and even the idea of a multinational nuclear fuel bank from Russia or Kazakhstan or someplace else to guarantee supply while addressing proliferation concerns. They also point out the broader confidence building frameworks, including regional security arrangements aimed at reducing the rationale for external military pressure. So ultimately, bottom line is the U.S. is looking for other ways out of this. But anything that is pretty far afield from the JCPOA Iran is basically saying, go fuck yourself. And I think they're going to end up go fucking themselves right into the grave.
We also have the optics issue of they attempted to attack 2 of our ships, and we've done nothing about it. If we don't do something about it, every third world dictator may very well then decide it's his time. Right?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Joe. I mean, the point there is that we've shown amazing restraint in not completely ending some of their major maritime platforms over that. But let's see. Let's move on to the next one here. So kind of onto the topic of collecting combat power in the region. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. These are kind of new. So this is a kind of where our aircraft carriers are. Current position of the aircraft carrier strike groups worldwide. Excuse me. Theodore Roosevelt is in the North Pacific. The Gerald Ford is in the Caribbean Sea. The H.W. Bush is in the North Atlantic. The Abraham Lincoln is in the Arabian Sea. And the George Washington is the Philippine Sea. And I think it was the George Washington, I believe, I think it's a George Washington that is potentially moving towards the Middle East that would bring another carrier there. There's also talk of the Theodore Roosevelt moving towards the Middle East as well. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not the Gerald Ford moving to the Middle East. And that's the one that took part in the recent activity off of the coast of Venezuela. You know, Joe, if the crew of the Ford got 2 combat rotations in one deployment, that's a pretty good record there. You know, yeah, we fought in Venezuela and Iran. Moving on.
You know what we're missing? Didn't we last time we were looking to do this, didn't we bring the battleships out and actually use them?
No, we haven't had the battleships out since the Gulf War.
92.
Yeah, 92s. That was the New Jersey, I think it was.
That's what I'm saying. Well, it'd be a good day out.
I'm telling you, that's what Trump wants to do. He wants battleships. And I think Trump actually thought he might be able to bring back the old battleships. But in point of fact, what they got to realize is they need new ships that are essentially the new version of battleships. All our carriers, Republican presidents.
Wow. It's interesting that we need to build a ton of ships at a time when welding is about to become significantly easier.
No, but not all Republicans. We have a George Bush, right? Yeah, it's almost 1 o'clock where Scott is, so it's okay.
It's not almost 1 o'clock. It is 5 after 1 right now.
Yeah, I should say I finally have a tool that tracks your time.
I ironically, when I came home from work this afternoon, I actually took a nap for an hour, so I feel like
there you go.
I'm not too deep in the hole.
The Strait of Hormuz appears to be poking Iran in Djibouti.
That's right. Well, yes. Trump's considering imposing a naval blockade on Iran, but abandoned the idea for fear of rising oil prices and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, that's interesting that they would have had that. That seems like an Iran play more so than it does something for us to consider, but it doesn't surprise me.
Well, unlike Venezuela, Iran has land routes for all of its exports. Venezuela, being stuck in South America with Mexico to its north, didn't really have any other route other than the sea to get things from where it exists to where the consumers are. And it'd be a little bit harder to seal off Iran from the sea.
All right. So here we've got another kind of roll up of some of the Joe. You're the floating war power expert. What are we looking at here?
This is showing where all of these commands overlap, and it's showing what is in the area. You notice AFRICOM has literally nothing. CENTCOM has a lot of ships, and a few things from the Indo-PACOM are pushed all the way over there. In Diego Garcia, there looks like there's an amphibious ship there, and more on the way. But right in the Gulf and in the North Arabian Sea, we have a lot of assets. So why they're separate? The North Arabian Sea puts them outside the Strait of Hormuz, and the Persian Gulf puts them inside the Arabian Sea. The Persian Gulf is smaller than Lake Superior, so it makes it a real tight quarters to have naval forces out there operating, and the North Arabian Sea, it's kind of like the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea kind of come together right there off of Iran. A little bit more breathing room in the North Arabian Sea, and Iran doesn't have as much capability to strike into it. So our bigger assets are outside of the Strait of Hormuz.
And if you go down into the comments on this post, you've got some subsequent posts talking about the kind of sea tracking data for some of these ships. You listed as U.S. Gov vessel, and that's that special operations carrier, isn't it? That third vessel there. Oh, you've moved off of the one I was just.
Oh, I'll come back to it.
Yeah,
no, I don't think so.
This one right here, the one on the right, the picture.
The Miguel Keith.
No, the Ocean Voyager is the special ops vessel. That I think is an oiler.
Oh, okay, it just looks kind of weird. I thought I'm curious what kind of ship that is. I have no idea.
Boy, we've got ships hanging out in the Strait of Malacca.
Somebody put it out, and hold on, go back to it. It might be. I think it just did say ESB 5. They must have converted that. Yeah, Expeditionary Sea Base 5.
Yeah. So it was originally a non-commissioned ship with a USN prefix. And let's see, ESB flexible operate. It was ESB utilizing floating helicopter landing base and provide other support to military operations as an expeditionary sea base. The
ESB is an idea that came out of Operation Praying Mantis. When we began Praying Mantis, we seized a derelict tanker in the middle of the Persian Gulf and turned it into a marine base. And that's what an ESB is now, right? We've just decided, hey, that's a great idea. Let's get some of these older, large ships with big flat decks and turn them into a sea base that we can transit ground forces and helicopters and light attack things on and off. So
it really is a great idea.
Hit that link I just put in the
yeah. As far as I understand it, the other like genius freaking thing about this is that a lot of the times when these older ships are getting decommissioned is for economic reasons because the tanker portion of it stops working. But if your whole idea is just to strip the tanker portion of it out, surface the hull, and then put a flat deck on, it's like instead of retiring them, why would you ever retire them when you can just do this with them?
Yep.
Well, Joe, it reminds me of those old cruiser conversions that they did into the first aircraft carriers back in the 1920s and 1930s.
The pocket aircraft carriers or escort carriers.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what Iran did to create their drone carrier. Now, theirs isn't as sophisticated, but it is quite similar.
Well, hopefully it'll be visiting the bottom of the ocean in the near future.
Right.
Does that have a deck elevator system? Oh, that's cool. It looks like it's got a full-on deck elevator system so they can get aircraft down to the lower deck for maintenance. That's pretty cool.
Sure, there's an elevator down at the one end, and that thing on the end is a hangar.
That's cool.
All right. So next report talks about that whole second aircraft carrier. Trump reportedly said he's considering sending a second aircraft carrier to near Iran. That would take 15 to 20 days to get there. I wonder, Joe, if that's kind of like we know that the one that's there has been there for a while. So maybe like if nothing happens between now and then, we're going to have to trade it out. Maybe it's one of those types of deals, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just got there.
Well, I mean, but it's only Well, I guess they could just extend the float, right? Because it started as a Westpac, or not a Westpac, a Eastpac deployment, and then they moved it around.
I mean, honestly, the only thing that would limit them is when was the last time they made a port call for taking on supplies, and that's going to be unknown.
Well, they could always go to Djibouti.
Not even wrong. Actually, I don't know. I don't think the base in Djibouti can fit them, but they could certainly have guys ferry them out supplies from Djibouti.
Did you think that I was going to miss the opportunity just to say Djibouti? All right, so we got sorry. This is the updated map of what's going on in Iran from the Institute for the Study of War. Any U.S.-Iran deal that does not limit Iran's ability to develop a ballistic missile program and support the axis of resistance would harm U.S. interests in the Middle East. Iran's insistence on continuing to develop ballistic missile program and support the axis of resistance comes as Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu will meet with Donald Trump on February 11th. That was today for you guys, right? Or what's it? Did they already meet? So that's today for you guys. It's Wednesday for you guys, right? Is when they're meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. Reportedly urged Trump not to accept the deal with Iran that only addresses the nuclear issue. The Iranian regime's ongoing securitization efforts. The Iranian regime's exacerbated its population and economic and social cultural grievance, increased the likelihood that protests will break out again. The regime's ongoing securitization measures come as some Iranian university students have held demonstrations in recent days to protest Iranian security forces' killing of university students during the recent protests and arrest of medical personnel who treated injured protesters. Iranian-backed Iraqi militias reportedly failed on February 10th to convince unspecified Iranian officials to abandon their support of the state law coalition head and former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki's nomination as Iraqi Prime Minister designate. Shia coordination framework leaders who oppose Maliki include Kazil and the National State Forces Alliance head Ammar al-Hakam likely sought for Iran to withdraw its support from Maliki after U.S. domestic opposition to Maliki failed to pressure the framework to nominate a new prime minister designate. That's going and how Iran is or is not influencing the leadership of Iraq.
If I may, I have a thought. If you look at the puzzle pieces that are on the board, we've said something many times that it's the same here as it is everywhere. You can't occupy a country with fighter jets.
What? Say it isn't so.
And nobody wants boots on the ground. So my question here is what has been making us hold off is essentially us having CIA guys on the ground negotiate who's going to take over after it gets bombed, after we bomb the shit out of the government infrastructure. Is that what's holding up here? Is that what we're waiting for?
We need to build Catalinas. Oh no, that was a different conversation.
I mean,
still valid. Still valid.
No, you've got exactly the right question, which is if you take out the IRGC and you take out the Basij, who runs the country and what will the tribal factions do?
Who run Town? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So you
different conversation.
Basically, the way this works is the Wehrmacht needs to step up if you take the SS out. If you take the Ba'ath Party out, you got to have somebody to step up. We've made the mistake before. I don't think we'll make the mistake in Iran. I think there are enough people in the diaspora and enough people in the mainstream of the society that'll pick up the mantle and run with it. But that has to be figured out before you pull the trigger.
You know, another point that's worth repeating is General Dosen of the Northern Alliance once said, if you stay, America will just become another tribe here. And that's kind of very similar to the situation in Iran, right?
Yeah, we don't want to run the place.
Yeah, well, I think our best bet is to drop bombs on the Basij and the IRGC and leadership, and drop money on the generals, and empower them, and suggest highly that they listen to the protesters in which way to go in the future. But ultimately, they're on their own.
The old bomb and boogie.
Yeah, the key stability issues become food, potable water, and fuel. And if you destroy that infrastructure, it's very hard for the society to come back. See Haiti.
Yeah, well, I mean, and some of that infrastructure is already on its way out.
Which
it's
marginal,
which is part of what's causing the uprising. So it's not like whoever picks up is going to have a just pot of tea. It's going to be really quite a difficult job. I guess less difficult if we lift all the international sanctions, but still.
But that's why it's gonna have to look like the force we just saw with the Egyptians in Africa. We can't do it all, and that's why the UAE and Saudis are playing games, right? They're going to have to step in and be the stabilizing force for Iran, and that has interesting ramifications given the schism between Shiism and the Wahhabis and the Sunnis.
I mean, so we're definitely seeing a buildup of U.S. Capabilities in the region. We've got here
Al-Udeid.
Out the Al-Udeid one. There's one before that.
Oh, did I miss one? Shoot.
Yeah, but this is Al-Udeid as well. So we just kind of show this one, and then we'll show the next one. Satellite imagery captured late last month by BBC via Planet Labs showed additional air defense system, likely Patriot surface SAMs, being erected at Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar. And then we can kind of move on to the next one here, because I think they were looking at different stuff here.
I think the same. I think the second picture is the same one, and then this is a different one.
Well, the second picture shows that the launchers are erected as opposed to being just sitting there. Notice the shadows being cast.
You said it.
Now remember, if your launcher is erected for longer than 4 hours, call a technician.
Who knew war was so fun? Satellite imagery from Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest U.S. base in the Middle East, shows the missiles have been loaded onto truck-mounted launchers. Oh, no kidding. Patriot missiles on the mobile launchers rather than semi-static launchers means they're semi-static. Just means they unconnect the trailer from the thing. They're always mobile. And can be deployed quickly to strike or reposition defensively if Iran attacks preemptively. Yeah, they can move the entire battery very quickly. All right. Let's see. The next one is just another. I kind of doubled up on that one, so we can skip the last one. The last one here is a little 2C TV. This is the pro Rasa, I appreciate this guy's vim and vigor, because he wants the Shah back so bad that he can taste it. The U.S. has deployed F-24 F-22 Raptors to the Middle East. Tehran is in panic mode. This is, of course, his reporting. He is not what you'd call a reliable. Go ahead.
It's also not an F-22 Raptor.
No, these aren't. No, but please.
These are B-52s, yes.
Please, dear Lord, please.
I thought this was a caption pointing at his hair, is what this is what I thought this was.
They can get a jet off. Was I cutting out? But yeah, please let them warn them so that they can get jets off the ground and the F-22 can finally get a kill.
Finally get a kill. That's exactly right. Let's play the video, see what he has to say.
Actually did get an update from the United States that they have deployed Another, how many? 24. Yep, 24 F-22 Raptors towards the Middle East. Now, 24 F-22 fighter jets. These are obviously, they're not just there to monitor the situation. They are there for heavy strikes against any target and enemy. But that is the latest in terms of the offensive strategy, the equipment and the troops that are being sent towards the Middle East. The rest of it has been, as I've been saying over the last week, defensive capabilities to protect the US bases, the regional countries, and the state of Israel. In terms of what the Islamic Republic are doing, in full panic mode, the Islamic military in Iran have completed, apparently, deploying the Matla 3 long-range early warning radar in the south of the country.
Yeah.
So
hold on, push pause. Joe,
detection.
that's nothing but a bunch of 1970s era TV antennas.
Literally Yagi antennas.
Yeah, and the most pathetic thing about this system is like the early warning is not that early. It's never been proven that it actually works, and this is not going to allow any of their weapon systems to lock on in any way, shape, or form. They have yet to prove that they can bridge that gap.
So this is a low frequency system.
Yes.
This is the low frequency system that everybody's been prattling about since Bosnia, right?
China.
Which is,
yeah.
You can see stealth aircraft with it. Yeah. Okay. You can see them and then they kill you and then you can't see them anymore. Right. It seems kind of superfluous.
Well, one of the problems that they're discovering is that a lot of times the weapons that they shoot are out from way outside the range that any of these radars could even potentially be effective in, and that they stealth on the new
Horizon system. So
the new LRASMs, the long range kind of stealthy cruise missiles that they're shooting are essentially super small stealthy targets that that these don't work on.
And monitoring if the Americans or the Israelis try to launch an attack. Now, one thing that we know is that the United States military have capabilities of completely bringing down any of these radar systems that they have. The same thing that the Americans used against Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, it can easily be used against these tiny, feeble radar systems that the Islamic Republic have now deployed towards the southern part of Iran. There's also the update about.
I just want to say that this is a very bold move from China, because they've been trying to sell these everywhere, and from what I understand, they didn't even sell these. They just kind of they gave them to them, right, as a show of support.
For the record, 1980s technology defeats this harm, right? The old wild weasel configuration. You launch a missile, that thing's giving off a radio signal and the missile launches right to it. Oh, you get scared and you turn it off? Well, it goes to the last known location. These big trucks don't move that fast. So.
It's even if it does, some of the newer versions have visual tracking when they get into range. So fun.
At some point they'll rediscover phased array, right? It's put a bunch of Yagis up on a.
I would actually feel better if we found a few old F4s and did the original old school wild weasel.
right.
No, but you see, that's what the
F-22
has to get that kill. It has to be an F-22 has to kill an F4, and that'll be the headline of headlines.
Yeah.
Guys, I have one more. I don't know if there was an anomalous. Let's see if I can find it again. It has disappeared from my. Oh yes, here we go, gentlemen. I don't know if you have seen this, but we have found definitive proof. Watch, I'm going to give this to you in the private chat. Of certain activities going on between cousins and potentially even closer relatives within the Islamic community.
Whoa. Wait, you're telling me that's not Mr. Tumnus from
That's what it looks like. Yes.
But yeah, yeah, we don't need to hear that. But even better, go down to the post underneath it.
Yeah, this is him trying to explain into his iPhone why you shouldn't use modern technology that didn't exist at the time of
the Prophet Muhammad. Let me point out that his face is positively goat-like, and I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, as soon as I said the Mr. Tumnus thing, I couldn't unsee it.
Now keep going down. Keep going. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
We found his relatives.
Wow.
Could this be one of Alex Jones' human animal chimeras that we've heard so much about?
Wow. By the way, ladies, just so you know, the president of Austria has said that you might just have to start wearing a hijab. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh my gosh. By the way, ladies, he's taken.
So
it's the guy from the Goonies. That's right. That's the first thing I said too.
No, don't disrespect that guy.
I do have a question, although just because we have the expert here before we go, and it's not a topic we covered today, but it's one that's been all over my news feed and I'm very interested in, and feel free to say, decline to comment, but hey Jim, things appear to be happening across the pond.
Yeah. The head of the Labour Party in Scotland came out yesterday and said Keir Starmer needs to resign. Keir is a lawyer. He is not going to resign. They're going to have to paper his ass up and carry him out of 10 Downing Street. The real long-term issue here is are we going to see an Islamist party member, Labour Party member, take over the PM slot? If they do that, they have London and the PM slot. You end up in an interesting dynamic in the UK. The Labour Party is toast. They have no solutions, but the Tories are toast. And you've got the Reform Party very ready for local elections coming up. Something has to happen. Something has to happen to destabilize Starmer personally. And he's squeaky clean. He's ineffective, but he's squeaky clean.
Well, here's
what you say that, but you say that, but hold on. I've heard it worded as, Mr. President, a fifth twink has hit the Starmer.
Yeah, well,
here's
that kind of thing's not going to work, right? It has to be something systemic that breaks. The rape gangs thing didn't stick. The ambassador to the U.S. didn't stick. They threw Epstein at it. They've tried everything. He seems to be in a good place unless another shoe drops, because there's no palette and there's no option. There are no ponies in the stable, so to speak. So we'll see. I mean,
here for me, the biggest problem is Reform is kind of set to completely run the table is what you would believe. That for me, the biggest problem with Reform is the fact that they are bankrolled by a bunch of Pakistanis and Indians who are nominally secular, right? They're business people who don't like the Islamification of British culture because they profited under the current version of Britain. The problem is ultimately they are of these cultures. And if you allow these people to run their kind of pro-British party, and if you want to know the reason why, what's his name? What's the guy, the Brexit guy who is in Reform now?
Nigel.
Yeah, Nigel Farage. The reason why Nigel Farage is not going hard in the paint against for remigration is because of those people basically having him in their back pocket.
I just have to ask before we move on. Do you think he inflates this to attract a mate? Is that what that is?
No, he's just grousing. Don't notice that.
Meanwhile, his unpaid Ukrainian male prostitutes.
I was going to say. They're all trying to burn down his houses, including his childhood house.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, come on! It's the UK. Let's at least have some hope for him.
All right, let's go around the horn, guys. First, this is the first 3 hour show we've done in a while, and let me be honest. There's so much to talk about. It didn't seem like 3 hours. Joe, what? Looking at we're hump day. Looking towards the weekend. Anything? I'm pushing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to preface things by but go ahead.
I remain unchanged from Monday. We're going to see some more leftist protest action. AOC put out an interesting video yesterday that y'all need to watch and analyze. She comes out of some meeting and she's laughing and smiling, realizes there's a camera there, and then immediately puts on her serious and concerned face and talks about the fact that ICE is taking Hispanic people and locking them into black holes, these warehouses that ICE has rented, and they're never being seen again. They're trying to drum something up that's going to lead to violence. So I would be watching for something to come of that. That woman makes no statement that is not calculated and planned, right? There's a reason for her to make that statement. Also, again, I'll say it. We can't allow Iran's attacks on our ships to go unpunished in some way. So something has to happen there.
Holy shit! Evidently, they've hired. I'm sorry, Joe. I just was completely taken off my game by this video. Just play this video that just happened. Evidently, they're hiring Russian drone pilots at the Olympics.
Oh my god, is that real?
Yeah, it's what it appears to be.
Oh my god, they almost killed him.
Ooh.
See what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I got distracted when I saw that.
That's why we have no fly zones over events like this.
No, the kid's got a jammer in his helmet. That's what it is. You got too close to the kid. He has a jammer in his helmet. What country is he from?
Well, let's see.
I don't know.
Huh.
Coleman?
Oh, this video is 10 years old. Okay. Whew.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, you have any video with a Ukrainian flag next to it, you got to wonder.
Well, I was gonna say it's funny because the next video down was, it's fucked up is they have a drone chasing a Ukrainian at the Olympics.
Yeah. That's actually funny.
All right. I'm sorry, Jim. What's your what's your crystal ball say?
I think this recognition that all of our major cities rely on illegal migrants and the political class siphoning off their money from the payments to these migrants in places like Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. I think it's going to come to a head really quickly. As they turn the spigot off, the economies in the cities begin to slow. We saw them get hurt once by people not wanting to return to the offices, which undermine property values. And now you're going to see the central government say to them, hey, we're going to come in and audit where all this money went. And that's a mutually assured destruction problem. So watch and learn. Hopefully we have the chutzpah on the Hill, which I don't see these days, to enforce the law. But it's going to be very big amounts of money, and the states are going to start squealing, as they did yesterday, that they will go bankrupt unless we pay for this forever. And boy, that's a trap we don't want to step into. We got to take the pain now, shut this down as quickly as possible.
This. I think ultimately the second iteration of Doge will be the federal push to get these funds back, and it's going to cause a lot of.
Well, I don't think they can. I don't think they can put the blood back in the body I think they just need to staunch.
They
the
have to
bleeding.
stop it. Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to put a tourniquet on it. Is
But there's
ultimately what you do.
resistance to that. That's why the cities have come out. They understand how corrupt they are. And what they basically said is our economies can no longer operate. And that if the federal spigot is the only growth industry in your city, you got a problem. And it's clear Minneapolis, St. Paul had this problem. It's really clear LA has this problem. And I'm going to bet it's everywhere. It's going to pop up in Florida. It's going to pop up in New York. The corruption is staggering, and it explains why there's so many nice cars cruising these cities. Because it isn't coming from innovation, startups, and technology. It's coming from corrupt government largesse to the migrant communities who are abusing the programs, probably under the instruction of government-paid consultants. Going to be my guess. And again, early days. We'll see how it rolls out, but that's what it's looking like to me.
Yeah, I mean, people have talked about the dollar signs in Minnesota. I mean, when they start peeling back the onion in fucking California, it's gonna get fucking big quick, especially with the homeless industrial complex.
Well, you went from Gavin Newsom saying, "Look, we're the 5th largest or 7th largest economy in the world," to saying, "Oh, by the way, we're $50 billion in a hole."
Yeah,
and that's an assumption that the government keeps giving them money. So you imagine the scale of how in the hole California will be. It's going to keep that number like we saw in Minneapolis. It was 9 billion and then 10 billion and then 20 billion. And then, this program, that program, this is going to scale. But it explains to me why the left wing, Arabella and the blue collection business has been so profitable. They've been skimming off it for probably a decade and a half. And this is going to be the real come to Jesus. And the Treasury Department's going to lead this investigation. So HHS and the Treasury are going to be the way these guys get taken down. And you'll see it in Atlanta. You'll see it in Fulton County where they went and seized the ballots. It's all interconnected. It's how they pay for this. It's how they pay the lawyers.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Watcher, did you have your go?
No, that's all right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Like I said, I've not got a lot to say. I just think shit's gonna keep getting crazier. I think Iran probably kicks off before the weekend, so I think that's probably.
I tend to agree with Watcher. I just have one question for Watcher before we finish up. So, is the Catalina blue in your vision, or is it gray?
Well, okay. Okay, so now I have to do this.
Well, the Japanese one is blue, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks better than the Catalina, if I'm honest. The current Japanese one.
Did they paint eyelashes over the big observation windows?
I think it did it white. So this is I need to find it. I think it's called the Land Sea Air. It's a pretty well-known thing. And unfortunately, it had a really terrible ending because they flew it really close to Saudi Arabia, as far as I understand, and some tribesmen thought that they were spying for another tribe and fucking machine gunned the whole family that was living in it. But basically, it was a really cool conversion that they did post-war, where they turned it into a giant RV, and it was.
That must have been fun.
Hey, what was that? Cool. What was the TV show Tales of the Golden Monkey, where the main character had a Catalina, and he flew it around the Caribbean and South America or something like that?
I don't know.
Do you guys not know that show?
Well, so the Cousteau Society had one, and Jacques Cousteau's son died piloting it, I think, as I recall. But yeah, they're great airplanes. Always been a favorite of mine, Watcher.
Oh my gosh. I was not misremembering. It is absolutely Tales of the Golden Monkey, and sure as shit, in the opening credits, they are flying a Catalina. Gentlemen, I can't believe. So
yeah, they converted the gun pods into viewing pods. It's beautiful. I love it.
Watch it. Check the private chat, please.
Okay.
It looks like Lost in Space, man.
After I know it's amazing. I love it.
After denigrating the TBY.
Hey,
that's a goose.
That's not a Catalina. It's a goose, but it's about the same deal, right?
confirmed Scott was born in the wrong era.
I'm telling it was I think it was like what 80 82, 83, and, it's totally a ripoff of Raiders of the Lost Ark. But still,
we got the idea for the Expendables.
Oh yeah, there's what became of it, by the way. So this would have been one of the last shots, is that they pulled up, and then some other tribesmen on this far shore thought they were spying for this tribe and pulled up with a machine gun, literally mounted on a camel, and machine gunned the family to death. And then that's what remains of her.
I'm going to say that's Yemen or Oman,
right?
Sorry, so go ahead. Say again, Joe.
The largest amphibious airplane was made by the Russians, and it still sits in the Ural Sea.
Oh yeah, the Ukraina plane.
Yeah.
If we were to do anything, I'd say buying this one would be the way to go. This is the Japanese, the US-2. This is their current. I think what they were trying to do is set up a C-130 with a float underneath, and they haven't.
But they already have that.
Yeah, they don't have one that's in active use. I think they had one back in the 70s, right?
No, I'm pretty sure that they use some of
We
those.
still have it. There is a capabilities kit for it, but I don't know if we use it. Be prepared would be the guy to ask.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, don't they have firefighting ones?
Yeah, this is the concept that I remember seeing. See, it's got these giant, big old floats on it.
Damn.
Here's one that's just floating in the water without the floats.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that they have one that is a firefighting capable one. I might be wrong, but
I mean, they may have one that's a firefight, but it may not. It just may not float. You know what I mean?
Well, they give the chiefs those big canisters of spray foam, right?
Yeah, right.
So here's what Joe was referencing, by the way. This is the Ukraina.
Oh yeah, the ground effects plane. Uses a ground effect. Yeah.
So there were 3 built, and I think one of them still exists. Yeah, this one.
I stand corrected. It's in the Caspian Sea, not the Ural Sea.
The
cool things about they only got about 15 feet above the water or whatever, because it could only go so high.
These could have been really amazing, but the issue is they can't be used in the open sea because they can't get over
the waves,
and then they can't really be used anywhere else because they are the slowest turning thing that exists that we have ever built.
But they're fast in a straight line distance.
They are incredibly fast, and they're also unbelievably fuel efficient.
Okay, so as cool as this nerdiness is,
time to go.
All right, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us for 3 hours. Anytime Jim comes is a good time, so we appreciate the fact that Jim could hang out with us for the whole time. We will be back on Friday, as always. If you haven't done already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the bell for notifications, let your friends know you're getting some good stuff over here in the Future Conflict channel. As always, we'll be back same time, same channel Friday. And until then, stay safe.